I sold my car in Carvana last night.
Well, that's cool.
No, you don't understand. It went perfectly. Real offer, down to the penny. They're picking it up tomorrow. Nothing went wrong.
So, what's the problem?
That is the problem. Nothing in my life goes as smoothly. I'm waiting for the catch.
Maybe there's no catch.
That's exactly what a catch would want me to think.
Wow, you need to relax.
I need to knock on wood. Do we have wood? Is this table wood?
I think it's laminate.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's close enough.
Car selling without a catch. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
Hey, it's 10 a.m. and this is Utah's best sports radio.
Say my name.
You're locked on to Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb.
You're damn right.
Presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hey, let's get it, folks. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Scott Garrard, the coach, Tim LaComb. Hope you are all well. Coach, how you doing?
Well, I'm here. I know everybody's a little bit tired.
Yeah, it was a late night last night.
It was a late night, and I realize I watch hockey games much like I watch horror films. You know, like you're tensed up the whole time. I was on the couch reacting to each and every play. But unfortunate last night, the ending. But the sun came up today,
yes,
Scotty.
Yes, it did.
It's bright out there. It's a beautiful day, so, you carry on.
So, yes, I think that what we have discovered here is that this fan base is very much all in on hockey. And so with that comes the feeling of nausea the next morning when your team suffers an overtime loss. And that's where we are here to help. We are like your therapist. You need to get on the couch, let it out. We're here for you. You need to vent a little bit. We're here for you. Bill Armstrong, the general manager of the Utah Mammoth, is going to join us coming up at, 12:30? 1:30. So we will chat with Bill coming up at 1:30 as the series now shifts back to Vegas. All square at 2 apiece. But it's been a while since I've covered a local team because I try to stay neutral. I try to just observe. But that one, man, I was standing up. I was screaming at my TV. I was doing all the fandom stuff yesterday. I was I'm all in on this thing.
The game was crazy.
Yeah.
It was almost like 3 or 4 games in one.
Yep.
The way the twists and turns, obviously, we talked yesterday about how the Golden Knights would respond, and it was not a mystery. They responded with fury. And honestly, that first that onslaught to go up 3-0, the Mammoth were reeling at that point, and then the game it took a weird turn there in the second, and the Mammoth were on attack, had some fortunate plays, and were able to get some space. I mean, space was the premium last night for them. But use their speed. You saw speed bursts in there, and then really good team play. So, you go from no chance to win this thing to, hey, we're right back in it.
And then to a point where, hey, you just have to, run out the clock for the final half of the third period, and you're going to win this thing. Up 4-3, and then it's 4-4. Then you lost it on the on a shot, but then it's offsides. You're still alive, and then you ultimately lose it.
Well, and obviously the big pivotal play, the offsides
yes.
where Lloyd, actually, I was talking to you about it, Lloyd. I thought you described it perfectly, that instance, but he said you could hear a pin drop. It was so quiet, and everybody was just waiting for the announcement, and he said, man, that place just lit up.
Lloyd, you were covering the game last night.
I actually was covering the game last night.
You were covering the game.
Yes, I was.
You in Town and Country hanging out.
Yes.
And almost, you get some linguistic training as well, listening to Telemundo to your left.
Yes, I'll tell you what, what an experience in the entire every goal. I mean, the fans. I mean, when it went down 3-0, it's like, wow, this is getting out of hand quickly. And then all of a sudden, the Mammoth started answering, and that crowd was like nothing I've seen before. Like, I get it. It's it's so right now with hockey,
yeah.
But I've seen playoff games with the Jazz, and it's like there's nothing like it like in the state. Like it's just, but there's something different about hockey. it's pretty fun. It's
yeah,
pretty cool.
It's latching on pretty quick. But, the other thing, too, is it gets to a point now where, as I know you're new to the business a little bit, but there's a novelty to it where it's like, oh, we just, everybody's excited. Everybody's just it's fun to be a part of the NHL. And now I think we get to a point where, okay, now it's time to actually really cover this team and to really analyze what's going on and really look about the fact that, hey, for a lot of what we saw in Game 3, we saw in Game 4, and it's time to nitpick a little bit. Like, it's time to really analyze that there was some massive, massive deficiencies last night with what Utah did that allowed Vegas to win that game. I mean, the overall, essentially, time of possession, the time that Vegas was just camping out in their offensive zone and Utah couldn't clear, that led to the fourth goal that tied it up and then ultimately the game-winning goal when Vegas is just peppering Veggie because Utah can't clear it. I mean, as much fun as we all had, and it was a great experience, and we loved every moment of the game, now it's time to really look at this team and say, okay, there's some serious things that got to be fixed if you want to win this series.
Well, and that's what, the ebbs and flows of a series has always been fascinating to me. And last night we talked about the chance the Mammoth had right there to kick the Knights into a pit that very few teams get out of. And now this thing, that was why that momentum was so huge. And to your point, Lloyd said it, when the offsides happened, it was almost like a stay of execution.
Well, when a game ends and you have people that are getting ready, they have to go down and cover the press conference and all that stuff, get set up. Well, when that happens, I mean, the reporters and everybody, they bolt. Like, it's gone. When that happened, they bolted. And I was getting my backpack. I was like slowly moving, but they all bolted. And all of a sudden, you heard the fans go, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa!" And it was like, wait, this isn't over. And so I put my backpack back down, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, and I'm watching the review, and I'm like, wow, that's offsides. And all of a sudden, all the other reporters started filing back in, and it was funny. I mean, you had people leaving.
No, I was going downstairs to my office to record the thing with Jay, our post-game recap. And so I start making my way downstairs, and my son starts yelling at me. He's like, Dad. I'm like,
it's not over.
It's not over. It could be offsides. I'm like, oh, okay. All right, let's go. Jay's going to wait a little bit. Let's do it. By the way, after every playoff game, you can catch myself and Jay Stevens breaking down, look, it's just a quick 15, 20-minute recap, and we just recap what we saw, that initial emotional reaction to what we saw last night. We do it after every playoff game. All right, let's get it, folks. Time for your starting lineup. Let's take a deeper dive into what we saw last night at the Delta Center. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time to kick off the show with the biggest headlines of the day. This is your starting lineup on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hannafin again, left point. He sends this down the wall. Hannafin stabs it near point. Flinging one wide, and they score! Tipped in by Cole Smith. It was going wide, and Smith got a tip on it to make it 3-0. 3.5 minutes gone by in the second period, and Vegas is out to a 3-spot lead. And the fourth liner, Cole Smith, has his first goal of the series. Sends it down the wall for Uyghur. He funnels one towards the front. Back out to Sergachev. Gunther looks in. Garconi dials one up and scores! We're tied! 3-3, and Magic Mike has his first goal of the series. Took a funny hop off the stanchion in favor of Utah, and it's Sergachev parading to center. Small stick handles in, looking for Keller. He gloves it down. Keller in front, bouncing puck. They score! The captain gives Utah the lead in Game 4. Right back against the grain, around for Eichel, who has reacquired his hockey stick. This is Hannafin at the left point with a wrister. Tipped in, and they score! Brett Howden has his second of the game, and we are tied at 4. And up ahead it comes into the Utah zone, and we are headed to overtime at the Delta Center. 4-4, 60 minutes, not enough. It could be a long night here in Salt Lake City. Hannafin left wing, centered, save made by Vamelka, loose, and it's in! Vegas wins it at overtime. It was tipped past Karel Vejmelka, and Vegas wins 5-4 to even the series at 2 apiece. The officials have told the teams to stay on their bench. And wait a minute here. It's coming back.
After the review, the play was offside, no goal.
We're still playing.
Come on back, everybody. Gonna have a face-off.
9:38 to go in overtime. And our night continues at the Delta Center. Down the ice with Vegas recollects. Eichel tipped it along for Barbashev. Eichel in front, stopped by Vejmelka. The puck goes behind the net. Vejmelka with a point-blank save. Eichel tried a bank play. Follow-up, they score. That one's going to count. Shea Theodore wins it in overtime for Vegas. 52 seconds left in OT. Vejmelka lost his stick, lost his bearings. Eichel won a battle below the goal line, fed it in front, and Shea Theodore rifled it through a crowd and hit the back of a yawning cage. 5-4 in overtime as Game 4 comes to a screeching halt.
52 seconds away from 3-on-3. 52 seconds away from that thing closing out and going into the second overtime. But look, if you're going to be camped inside that, if you're going to let Vegas camp inside their offensive zone and just pepper your guy over and over and over again and you can't clear, that's what's going to happen to you. Utah played with fire a lot there at the end of the game and into overtime, and finally they got burnt. And it is Vegas escaping with a 5-4 victory in obviously as entertaining of a game as you could possibly hope for.
Yeah, I mean, the only way it could be better is the outcome.
Yep.
And but the point you make is really the point. The Vegas is basically all series long lived in the zone. I mean, we talked about it yesterday. Over 40% of the play, regardless of strength, is happening in that zone. So the issue at hand is, and I think Lloyd hit on something when he and I were talking earlier. As that game went on and you're managing that physicality, that level of physicality, and it is constant, it takes the chip out of you. And the Mammoth having their superpower speed, well, what's the first thing to take a hit when you're fatigued and taking a beating is speed. So at that point, that superpower gets neutralized a little bit. The physicality is able to win out. If the Mammoth could have had a couple of breakouts,
yeah,
right, where the puck's fighting, like the last goal, the way that ended, where they turned, basically Golden Knights turned a near goal for the Mammoth into a goal for themselves, and that's really what the Mammoth needed to happen, and it was the byproduct of not getting it out of the zone.
And, the other thing that's really fascinating about this is that, we talk about endurance levels and fitness, and look, these guys are on another planet when it comes to that. But I don't care how great of an athlete you are, the toll of that game, you could tell, was just ripping both teams apart there in that overtime. And Utah just didn't have the gas in the tank to just find a way to clear it out of that zone. And there were a lot of opportunities where Utah looked like they were about ready to break, and it just a bad pass, lazy pass, a turnover, and boom, you're right back. And I think that's almost like deflating. You go back to your basketball years, you play great defense for 32 seconds, and then you give up an offensive rebound, and then they bring it back out and reset, and you got to get back into your defensive stance, and you're like, oh my gosh, we got to do this again. And then before you know it, you give up a backdoor and a layup, and after playing great defense for a long time.
You just described playing St. Mary's perfectly, because that was them. They play really analytically sound, and so if there's going to be a mistake that's made, it's going to be you. So they play really close to the fence, and to me, hockey, I said it, there's so many similarities, but you'll know this, and this is the point I want to put out there. Just because the Mammoth lost the game and gave up a couple of those things, it's not always for lack of effort.
No.
You've seen a million bad bounces in basketball. The thing that I'm curious to talk about with Jay, we got Jay today, correct?
Correct.
I want to ask Jay about that issue of not being able to clear the puck, and what is the remedy to that? Because to me, if they can figure that out, and they do at times, right? They do at times. There were times where the Mammoth really had a nice push and kept it in their zone for a period of time, but just not enough.
No, and there were so many really good things. Look, they're in the mid part of the third period when Utah gets the penalty. I think it was Stenlin with the slash, and he's out for 2 minutes. And Utah's able to kill off that penalty. And then
by the way, they're 11 for 11 on their PKs.
I know, it's awesome.
Did you just mention that? Sorry.
11 for 11 for a win.
Their last 11, they've killed.
Okay, yeah.
The power play. They gave up
They're
11 for 11. It's crazy.
They gave up a really early power play goal in the early part of game 2. And then ever since then, it's been, awesome. And so, you look at the penalty in the third period and the penalty in overtime, and I think everybody is like, oh boy, it could end here. It could end here. And you burn those 2 minutes off, especially in overtime in sudden death, and do it in a phenomenal fashion. And you're thinking, okay, we're going to get this thing to the second overtime. And at that point, when we talk about speed, 3-on-3 benefits Utah in a big way. If they could go 3-on-3, I think Utah wins that game, just because you take away that big physicality and all the traffic that you're dealing with.
Well, that, and you get the rest.
Yes, exactly.
You get a little bit of a rest, because to Lloyd's point, they were running out of gas. And when I say they, each and every line, because it was a punishing game last night. A lot of hits. Vegas really leaned into what they do. And I just pulled up the current zone time with last night, figure it in. Vegas is second right now in the playoffs. They're in the offensive zone 45.6% of the game.
Jeez.
Carolina Hurricanes 45.8 lead the NHL in the playoffs. So a huge. I mean, you look at that and you say, how have they won 2 games, right?
Yeah.
and then if you put the stats of Game 3 out there, so at a certain point you have to realize the ice is tilted a little bit physically here, and the Mammoth are fighting like crazy to try to change that. But it's easier said than done.
It really is, and it's something that Utah's got to find a way to figure out, because obviously we're going to have a Game 6. You just can't be coming back to Salt Lake with a must-win, have to stay alive, down 3-2. That place is going to be hopping regardless of what the situation is coming up for Game 6. But honestly, you got to find a way to steal that game in Vegas. I don't want that thing going to Game 7 in Vegas.
No, but at this point, the whole thing now becomes just that. You've got 2 possible games in Vegas, a game here, and the only way you can go about it is the only way through is through. You got to go handle your business.
That's the line right there. The only way through is through.
And people look at me like, no. You have to think deeper, dog. There's a lot of stuff in through. Okay, there's a lot of sub stuff.
I like how you caught yourself though. That was good.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I'm getting better.
It was well done by you. I'm impressed. I
had to go to Sorsby is at a treatment center for that. I had to go for that before I came here. A little 5-day training just to
instead of
tough words.
Instead of this word, we use this word.
Can you say that, Mr. LaComb?
Oh, man. So, yeah, Jay Stevens is going to join us coming up at 11 o'clock. We'll recap more of that with him. And it's a Tuesday, which means we can't thank him enough. But Bill Armstrong, general manager of the Utah Mammoth, will join us coming up at 1:30. So, long day as we continue to get you ready for game number 5 in Las Vegas. Okay, Lloyd, is this the time Nate gives us the green light to take the show down to Vegas?
Because I feel like it is.
Because now we got Timmy, and I don't think anybody would know anybody better than to take us around Vegas.
No.
Better shows, best music.
After that invoice I just forwarded him, I don't know.
It wasn't that bad. Lloyd and I did get played a little bit. We used some. Yeah. Some guy padded their invoice a little bit.
Really?
Yeah. Not you. No.
Oh, no. I would never do.
Looking at you, Tim.
I've definitely not submitted any invoices yet, my guy. I'm just trying to figure out where to park. I've got that down now. I don't look like a vagrant. Walking the lot.
By the way, you go to YouTube, you can catch the show live. Timmy looks great as always. We do need to get that got the Party Hounds gear rocking. We do, as our guy Chewbacca points out, we do need to get that third camera on Lloyd.
You know what? I've been trying to get it on, but it won't turn on.
Hey, there was a quick text response to your request.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Just 2 letters. All caps.
So that ends that speculation.
Yeah,
I think that's for 2 reasons. It's
it.
the money spent, but you guys were really not very smart to say Timmy will be our guide.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
What I could do, though, is I could book a gig for myself somewhere, and we could make up the difference.
Can we be like the dudes that
The
all
roadies.
the roadies? Yeah, I'm down for that.
Now we just have to find a place to hire me.
We can. It's Vegas.
It's Vegas.
There's
There's
got to be
100
somewhere.
spots.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. So apparently we will not be taking the show on the road to Las Vegas, but that's all right.
I was hopeful. I thought maybe.
It's worth a shot, Throw that Hail Mary, see what happens.
He's like the Charlie Angels guy. You just never see him. You see the back of his head on text like that,
Yeah.
The big boss.
Yeah. It's like the dude from Home Improvement.
Mm-hmm.
Just peeks his eyes over and yells, "No!"
Yep. The neighbor.
This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The best sports radio in Utah is right here, right here. This is Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb, on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Yeah.
Oh, I missed my cue.
No, that's all right.
Yeah.
A little collective soul. This is senior year of high school right here.
That's good stuff. Where the water flows, where the river flows. That's one of their good ones.
Yes. Yep.
I'm a B-sider, man. I like all that stuff. Obviously, I jam it, but I figure they made something like that. There's got to be some sinews down in here. Something else.
You just got to dig a little deeper.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. Not everybody wants to go after the hits. Dig deeper.
But I understand not everybody. There's some people that just, hey, man, they want to hear the same old all the time. I get that, too. Getting a music rut. I told Joey today. I was talking to Joey.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what I told him. I'm just like, if you ever want me to expand your musical horizons, let me know. I'll throw you a couple bands.
See, that's all right. So I think what we're going to do here on this show is like the Timmy playlist, the coach's playlist.
I would love that.
And so like once a week you issue a Spotify list or something like that.
Cool. I would dig that.
And top 10 songs of the week or top 20 songs of the week.
And the cool thing, I can go, do you have Spotify?
Oh,
Use
yeah.
that?
Yeah.
You ever go DJ mode?
I have not.
You should go DJ mode. It just takes all of your, basically, AIs, all the stuff you pick.
Yeah.
And then it just throws together a ton of songs, the ones you like, things that are like the ones you like. So it's a good way to hear stuff, too.
Oh, yeah. There's no better way than to make a long road trip than to just let it go. And, you listen to one of your favorite bands, and then you go through an album, and then it just starts spitting stuff out to you. And you're like, okay, that's good. Nope, that sucks. Skip it. Okay, I want to learn more about that band. I've discovered a lot of new bands.
Yeah, because you get into a band and then just listen to their catalog.
Oh yeah, and that's the other
You have
thing.
to make sure you clarify the road trip has to be
approved.
It's a by yourself road trip.
Yeah, it's not a
no
trip.
Kids.
No,
There's no kids in there.
No.
Because then they're pounding you with the other stuff.
Yeah.
Play
other
Bluey.
bad music.
No, my kid Brody has got a really good eclectic. Like he's sunk his teeth into the Eagles. Loves the
that's
Eagles.
a mature decision.
But he also has got a little 80s butt rock. He's got a little Def Leppard that he likes.
And more power to him.
So I think you would be impressed with his choice.
Catalog.
Yeah.
The other thing, let's do this today just because we're talking. We asked for a trip. We're not going to get it.
Yeah.
But in theory, let's ask our listeners, if you were, taking a road trip, tell me your go-to, like your song, your band.
Oh, okay.
Just tweet at us.
Yeah, at Scotty G Zone, at T LaComb, at Lloyd Cole Zone. What's your playlist of choice or your band of choice on a road trip?
I tend to get grungy on road trips. I go to Alice in Chains. I go to Nirvana. Everybody loves Teen Spirit and all that, but there's again some absolute great tunes.
Go get you
bangers, as the kids say.
Bangers.
Go get
Some
you
real
that live MTV live Nirvana album. and go listen to The Man Who Sold the World, some of that stuff.
Awesome.
Awesome
I can play
album.
that one for you.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
And then I would throw in there I have to have Audio Slave, Soundgarden, Chris Cornell somewhere in there because he's my guy.
Great pipes on him.
Great pipes, heck of a story, sad story. Kind of what life is sometimes. Coach Rose told me nothing ends well in this world. And I'd have to tell him that's true. From what I've experienced, very few things end well.
You know what? Like, I want to argue that, but that's actually really true. Like, nothing really does end well.
I mean, you have to make a conscious decision going in saying, this is going to end well. But if you let it play out, people are people.
Yeah.
And on both sides, as you know, in any kind of break, there's a split, there's he said, she said kind of a thing, and then it just becomes up for public debate. But if you go into it, in my mind, mature and say, I'm not going to let this thing go that way. I want it to end well, then you got a chance.
Lloyd and I were chatting about, some of the stuff over the last couple of years, and we're like, this kind of feels like the about the 45-minute mark of a Behind the Music,
Exactly. Right. When man, wow, things are going so well.
What can we do to mess this up?
Let's just keep, being crazy and making crazy decisions, and I'm sure things will continue to go well. It's what's amazing to me when you get into a lot of those stories is the fact that anything got off the ground at the beginning.
Oh, yeah,
with
absolutely.
a bunch of guys. I mean, I'm in a band. We don't play for much more than maybe 3 or 4 times a year. But it's impossible to get us together. And then when we are together, you don't talk about much because there's all sorts of different philosophies. And so you just lean into the music.
I would go, so road trip, I want a little bit more mellow. Big Tom Petty on the road. REM. A little bit of country thrown in there. Old school Garth. What else would I put on the road trip? The National, you know them?
Yeah.
Love the National.
Love the National.
And then probably my guys Guster. Yeah, I'd say that's probably a good chunk of it right there.
I mean, that's good stuff. I may throw in, when you go Tom Petty, Traveling Wilburys.
Yes. Roy Orbison.
Some of those. Yeah, those are good too for the road.
Lloyd, what are you taking on the road trip? Do you even have control over you? Don't even drive alone anymore.
I never drive
mostly
alone.
You're driving to who knows where for a baseball tournament.
Hey, you know what? If I can, sometimes I'm going to break into my hip hop, my '90s hip hop.
Attaboy.
And I'm going to bump that thing, and I'm going to set my seat back, and then when somebody pulls up to me, I'm going to roll my window back up.
Oh, like Office Space?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hip hop.
And then I'm going to roll it back down.
Hooray.
But no, Tom Petty, by the way, up there. Like, that's probably one of my that's towards the tops. I love anything 80s. Like, and I'm Eagles, all that stuff. Like, used to, road trips with my parents and hearing a lot of like Eagles and the Doors and you name it. But I'm probably going to mix in a little hip hop blink for the first little bit.
Hip-hop.
And then when I'm ready to coast, so the first little bit is hip hop, and then it's coasting with some 80s.
All right, so you got the hip hop to get you going.
That's what's starting.
And then when you hit cruise control, then
I'm in cruise control,
you're going to bring it down.
And I'm
going to
bring it down a notch.
Right.
And I'm
And what's crazy is I went right back to college because Lloyd had, he's one of those guys, gold chain.
Oh, yeah.
Gold chain, right.
He was hip hop. I would have never, I didn't think hip hop would come out of your mouth first.
Well, that's, you're rocking the old Raiders hat, looking like the, late 80s.
Do I have time for a quick story?
You do.
Okay.
It's your show.
Because here's the thing. Everybody needs a little pick-me-up after that Mammoth game
Right.
last
We
night.
got to go in and out of the zone.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Good point.
Right. We're going to stay neutral zone here for a bit. So speaking of the Eagles and Vegas, we talked about Vegas today. I just got a text from my boy Yoda, and he reminded me of something that happened to us. So,
Wait a minute. Yoda is a nickname?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Well, so the way he grew up in Richfield.
Okay.
And
that makes me think of Yoda.
And he kind of grew up right then in the, in Star Wars was at it, in the 70s.
Does he have pointy ears?
No.
Shorter fella?
No, it has nothing to do with how he looks. He wore a He's actually a huge man. If you both talk bad about him, I'll bring him in here.
Okay.
He's on the list of bodyguards. He's one of the guys that drives me around. But we went to Vegas, Yoda and I, and Steve Wynn and Yoda's wife. And we were there, and we're like, oh, my gosh, Don Henley's going to be here. So he was just doing a solo show. So Steve Wynn, it was being held at I want to say it was at the Paris.
All right.
Okay. And so Steve calls early a couple days before, and he's like, hey, I want to get 4 tickets to the Don Henley show. And the lady's like, okay. He's like, I'm going to pay with a credit card. What's the name? Steve Wynn. Oh, Mr. Wynn, you don't need to pay for these. Well, yes, of course I do. No, you don't. We'll just put them in will call for you. So he calls me, and he's like, I think they think I'm the other Steve Wynn.
That's Steve Wynn.
I said, let's roll it out, see what happens. So we get down there, and we go to pick up our tickets, and they're like, oh, no. Your tickets are at VIP, Mr. Wynn.
Oh, no.
So he goes up to VIP, and they're like, ID, and he pulls it out, and they're like, oh, okay. And on the envelope, it was WYNN, and they crossed it out and put WINN. So ended up getting free tickets. And the guy, as soon as we get through basically that ticket process, we walk in, and there's a escort that takes us all the way down. This guy in white gloves.
Oh, that escort. Okay.
Sorry, Vegas.
Yeah.
My bad. Part of the reason.
Boy, didn't even catch that.
Part of the reason Charlie want to let us go down. Yeah. But he walks us all the way to the front, and in front of the front, there is a two-row section with a gold rope around it. And guess who sat in row 1 center for Don Henley? Like, literally, if I'm sitting here, he's playing a chord, I could reach up if he wasn't looking and whack him in the head. That's how close we were. And didn't pay for it. I mean, so the benefits of being named, the same name as one of the more powerful guys in Vegas, paid dividends.
So at any point where you're like, hey, what are we going to do if we get figured out here? If somebody comes up and like, hey, you're not that Steve Wynn.
Well, no, because we didn't do anything wrong.
No, you didn't. No.
I mean, he didn't say,
But Vegas doesn't need an excuse to,
That's true.
crack your kneecaps.
I think once we got through the ID and they realized there was a mistake made, I think at that point the tickets were allocated.
Let them have some
Enjoy
fun.
the show.
Yeah.
So I got a text from Yoda. Yoda's listening. I also got a text from my buddy Dave Prosick in Austin, Texas is listening. So we're all over the place.
Look at that. The ability to stream at KSLSports.com, also the KSL app, and we're on YouTube as well. Let's see. Andrew, Road Trip Essentials, Sturgill Simpson, nice poll. Mac Miller, A Day to Remember, Sabrina Carpenter. Post Malone. I don't hate a little Posty.
I love Posty. I went to that show at Rice Eccles last year.
Oh, how was that?
Insanely good.
Yeah, he's with
he's a great entertainer.
Jelly Roll. Yeah. Jelly Roll's way good.
Yeah, it was the way they do it, and he came out. Posty came out to Texas Tea. Have you ever heard that too?
Yeah.
But it's got some boom, boom, and every step he took of another fire lit on the little walkway all the way out to midfield. It was cool, man. They did a great job.
There's an old country artist named Joe Diffie, and
you mean Duffy?
No, Joe Diffie. Joe Duffy.
No, it is Diffie.
Is it Diffie?
I think it's Diffie.
Oh, okay.
But he's got a lot of just old school twangy country, and he passed away a few years ago. The old COVID got him, and but Posty has redone a bunch of his olds, and he wasn't really a big country music guy, but just really niche country stuff, and some of that stuff he's done is really funny, really good stuff. Yeah,
he's a talented dude, to be able to bounce from Lloyd's hip hop world to this.
John Deere Green, and then let's see here, Ute Shasta trailer going with Little Queen.
Oh yes, Queen is so good. The whole catalog, one of my favorite movies. By the way,
I was going to ask you, movie solid. Yeah.
I mean, that was one where I was in the theater, grown man, just tears. I'm falling in my popcorn, man.
Yeah.
No, I was into it.
What was the other one that was kind of weird? Rocket Man, Elton John.
Didn't dig that one.
I didn't like that one.
That was like, hey, let's make this like the Queen one.
Yeah. I was like, no. Are you going to go watch the Michael Jackson one?
Yes. Because I was a Michael Jackson fanatic back in the day.
How could you not be?
I mean, he was, it was Michael Jackson and everything else.
Yeah. All right, 10:44. There we go. A little music fix for you. Coming up next, what you may have missed. Then we'll get back into the hockey with our guy, Jay Stevens. Will join us at 11:05. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Mom, can you tell me a story?
Sure. Once upon a time, a mom needed a new car.
Was she brave?
She was tired, mostly. But she went to Carvana.com and found a great car at a great price. No secret treasure map required.
Did she have to fight a dragon?
Nope. She bought it 100% online. From her bed, actually.
Was it scary?
Honey, it was as unscary as car buying could be.
Did the car have a sunroof?
It did, actually.
Okay, good story.
Car buying you'll want to tell stories about. Buy your car today on
Carvana.
Delivery fees may apply.
Ladies and gentlemen, the biggest name.
You're locked on to Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Scott Garrard, the coach, Tim LaComb. All right, NBA action, what you may have missed right here on the Zone. All right, when you look at the scores from last night in the NBA, Oklahoma City, as we expected, they euthanized the Suns 131-122. So that series is a sweep, and OKC moves on to the next round. The Magic now leading the Pistons 3-1. I wanted to talk about this one because there were a lot of conversations about how good Detroit really was. And I think we're finding out that it may have been a little bit of fool's gold. And I hate comparing them to what we saw from the Jazz because at least that Jazz team made the second round and we're up 2-0 against the Clippers before finally losing that series 4-2. But when the Jazz had the number one seed, best record in the NBA, number one seed in the West, and there was a lot of conversations like, are they really that good? And even here locally, we're like, I don't know. I don't know if we're quite there on that team yet. And sure enough, they end up losing in the second round. Well, Detroit may not even make it out of the first round. In fact, highly unlikely they'll make it out of the first after being a 60-win team. Did you get that vibe with that squad all along?
What I will say is I think that it just shows how vastly different the regular season is from the playoffs. And, the one thing is for sure, and it was the Jazz deficiency at that point, was being able to get stops. They were a great offensive team. They kind of revolutionized the number of threes that were taken in a game by teams, really kind of pushed the envelope pace-wise, but defense was kind of the issue. And the Jazz lost because they basically played a team that continued to give them the same type of issues, and regardless of what they did, they couldn't fix it. In this iteration this year, or this season, it's the Detroit Pistons, and I think it's really astute to point them out because they did. They won 60 games this year in the regular season, and they really took advantage of a pretty watered-down East. The East was watered down anyway, and then you look at the injuries.
Yeah.
They're playing a team that was injured all season long, and in my mind, Orlando's dangerous. But what Detroit lacks is perimeter play, perimeter scoring. They really rely over heavy on the paint and being able to bully you. And right now they're playing a team that can take that. I mean, you get Banchero's a huge guy. Wagner's a big dude. Carter Jr.'s a big guy. Bain's a seasoned, tough dude that's been in the playoffs. And Suggs is a big, strong guy. So you aren't going to intimidate them. And you're not going to move them around. And so that was the issue all along for the Pistons, and it's kind of gone according to plan. Last night, the Pistons were 6 for 30 from three.
Yeah.
20%. I mean, it's really hard to win games when you can't score outside the paint.
So we go through an entire regular season, and we're seeing scores 150 to 130. Like, you see just crazy, obnoxious scores. And then all of a sudden, you get to the playoffs, and it's 94-88. And there's a lot of teams that don't even sniff triple digits. Now, you did have the Thunder with 131, and the Nuggets put up 125 last night. But for the most part, scoring goes way down in the playoffs. Is it just intensity? Is that all it is? Is this guys are fighting more, trying harder?
I think it's exactly what it is. I mean, I've said it. I cover 82 regular season games a year, and the playoffs start, and that is you see a different brand of ball. Not that the guys aren't selling out, but it's just the urgency that they play with. And, on shucks, I forgot to bump that back cut my bad. That stuff in the playoffs will get you beat really quick. And so the stuff that happens and is not accepted, but is, it's almost like the whole league shift gears. And, everybody starts to guard up the floor and people are way more active on the ball. It's a ton more physical. And, people say that about playoff hockey too. Everything ramps up. So, yeah, I think a lot of it is intensity for the moment.
So the Nuggets get a big win against Minnesota, 125-113. Now that series becomes a little bit more interesting. It's 3-2, and considering the injuries Minnesota's dealing with and the fact that Denver kind of ran them out of the building last night and really had complete control of that game, it makes you wonder if can Denver come back and win this thing? Can they be the team that comes back from a 3-1 deficit? They've got certainly the experience. You got Jokic. Minnesota's dealing with the injuries. So you have, you have the injuries plus Denver trying to get, and they're desperate. They don't want to get embarrassed. They don't want to get bounced in the first round. It would not surprise me if Denver found a way to come back and win this series. I still would take Minnesota, but I could see a path in which Denver pulls this one off.
I can too, and the reason is because you're taking one of the more dynamic players in the league off the floor.
Yeah.
A guy that can get a shot any situation, anytime. And what it does to Minnesota is it makes Mike Conley, Mike Conley played 17 minutes last night, so it makes a guy who has not played a ton this year starting to have to play. And when you also figure in the fact that Dante's out for the season, everybody just has to step up a notch. And those guys I just don't feel like are quite ready. The one thing they don't do is they don't go north-south very well. And that's the one thing Ant does. You hear that all the time, but you want to be playing downhill, and you got to have a couple guys that can navigate that. Julius Randle is going to bully you. He's going to turn his back to you, back you down. McDaniels is relying on speed and bursts of speed and one step quick. Gobert isn't going anywhere with a dribble. Desonmu, the guy they picked up from Chicago, he's been a nice find. But he had 43 the other night in a near perfect game last night. In 38 minutes, he gets 18. So I do believe that now it's like being out on the playground and saying, hey, I can beat you with one hand tied behind my back. Well, that's what Minnesota's going to have to do because they're not at full strength, and the pieces they lost are really, really crucial to their roster.
You watch it because you like basketball. We watch it because, frankly, it's our job to watch it and to keep track of what's going on. I'm having a hard time really sinking my teeth into the NBA playoffs. And maybe it's just because of the NHL and the Mammoth. And look, I'll recap every game. I'll watch as many games as I possibly can. I think, it's our responsibility. It's not like we're digging ditches here. We're watching sports, so I'm certainly not going to complain about it. But I'm having a hard time finding, I don't want to say enjoyment, but a real drive to be like, okay, I got to lock in and cover these NBA playoffs. And I don't, and usually I don't want to bury the NBA. I don't want to pile on because it seems like everybody likes to pile on the NBA right now. And I get it, but I've always loved the NBA. I've always loved the NBA playoffs. But this year I'm finding it just a little harder than maybe years past.
I think it's honestly the realization that, we haven't had a team in it for a few years. And while we like the NBA, our draw to the NBA has a pull with the Jazz, and you're competing against a team playing and a league playing in the similar time slots that is really relevant to our locale now. So I think it's totally – I kind of feel similar. I'll have – like last night I had the hockey game watching it on SCG on my laptop, and then I had, split screen watching the basketball. But I am definitely way more into what's going on over there.
Yeah.
Locking into the laptop. So I'm having some of those similar feelings. I think some of the Mickey Mouse stuff the NBA does has an impact on that too. I mean, Adam Silver has not stacked the best decisions in my mind, and the league is, it's right now you talk to 10 different people and you're going to get 10 different answers about what they think about the league.
I will say, and it's, look, I've talked, people really well. Like, you're so well connected in that organization. I know people in that organization, and everybody I talk to will always say, hey, look, I've been behind the scenes at the lottery. I've been behind the scenes. I know this isn't WWE. You got to trust us on this. But sometimes perception's reality. And if those lottery balls go against the Jazz this year, I'm not saying the Jazz have to be the number one pick, but if they get leapfrogged by 4 more teams and they drop down to 8, there's going to be a good chunk of this population here in Utah. They're like, I'm out, because this isn't worth my time anymore.
Well, there was a bunch of people last year, right?
Yeah.
That said, hey, because everybody, I think everybody got their hopes up that there could be some movement up, and this is going to be the year. And then it was that same sick feeling in the bottom of your stomach. I will say this: when the Jazz get back in the playoffs, it will be just like the Mammoth now.
Yeah, which will be next year.
Because we rally here and we support our own. And even if you've had a bone to pick in the past, I guarantee you, with the excitement and the teams rolling through, you won't be able to not watch it. And we'll be as locked into the NBA playoffs then as we are to the NHL playoffs right now.
If Adam Silver is a conspiracy theorist, and Adam Silver wants to show and keep Salt Lake City as a market that cares about the NBA, they will give this market AJ DeBonsa. Like, they will find a way to give this market that number one pick, because you will win Salt Lake City back like that. Like, that's all that has to happen.
That's all you have to do, Adam.
Just one time, 1 year. Just 1 year.
Just put our envelope in the freezer.
That's all we ask. We're not asking for a lot. Look, this team's been in the lottery bunch. You screwed us over last year. Whatever. You had to make it right for Dallas because you forced Luka out there to L.A. All right, cool. That's cool. Just give us one time, one measly little scrap of a player that could come in and would embrace the community would embrace them, and that would be here for a long time. Everything you want to sell about the NBA, about loyalty, about community, and all that stuff, you can solve all of that by giving the Jazz one player. That's it.
Yep. The freezer envelope needs to be the Jazz this year. When you reach
that's
in,
cold.
Whew, that must be the one. No, I've said it all along. What if it was all a ruse and a smokescreen? The fine.
Yeah.
Just leading up to, okay, this has got to happen, so we've got to make it look as far from that as possible.
All right, Jay Stevens joins us next. The heartache of last night. We'll revisit it with Jay as the Mammoth drop Game 4, 5-4. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
I sold my car in Carvana last night.
Well, that's cool.
No, you don't understand. It went perfectly. Real offer, down to the penny. They're picking it up tomorrow. Nothing went wrong.
So, what's the problem?
That is the problem. Nothing in my life goes as smoothly. I'm waiting for the catch.
Maybe there's no catch.
That's exactly what a catch would want me to think.
Wow, you need to relax.
I need to knock on wood. Do we have wood? Is this table wood?
I think it's laminate.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's close enough.
Car selling without a catch. Sell your car today on
Carvana.
Pickup fees may apply.
The Jazz, the Mammoth, and the Utes, Cougars, and Aggies. When it comes to sports in Utah, we've got you covered. This is Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb, presented by Mountainland Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Got to imagine this one was front and center there in Vegas.
For you and standing up on the back of my neck.
For you and Steve Wynn.
Don was basically singing it to Steve Yoda and I.
And Yoda's wife.
It was weird. It was a weird trip, I must say. But the music was incredible.
Oh, man.
We got a lot of stories.
By the way,
there's a lot in this head, man.
By the way, I need to go see your guy, Steve.
I'm gonna set that up.
Got to get a new jacket.
Bishop Garrard.
Stop. All right, joining us now. He and I tried to console each other last night on KSLSports.com after every Utah Mammoth game. Jay Stevens and I hop on KSLSports.com. You can also watch it live on X, YouTube, as well as Instagram. And we give you our emotional reactions right after the game. And now Jay's had a day to decompress a little bit. But, Jay, it still hurts, right?
Yeah, it's still. I think it. The stages of grief.
Yeah,
I've been through all of them today. I've I guess I've accepted it now. I'm almost there. I'm almost to acceptance.
So you got through angry, and now you're at acceptance. So when you look at that game last night and you have a chance to reflect, where is the biggest issue with the Mammoth in from what you saw, and frankly into Game 3 as well. I know Game 3 went the Mammoth's way, but I think there's some cracks that we saw in Game 3 that kind of felt spilled over into Game 4.
Yeah, and like we were talking about last night, I thought Game 4 eventually showed that Game 3 wasn't a fluke, that Utah really it belongs there, and this is a competitive series, not like everybody thought it would be with the one versus a wild card. But what I went back this morning and I watched every goal again, and I wrote down where everybody was and who missed what assignment. And do you remember last night I was mad at Sergachev a little bit, and I couldn't figure out why. But I did watch. In the fire service, we call it freelancing, when you think you should go do something that somebody else is doing and you don't do your own thing, your responsibility. I think Sergachev did that on 3 goals against. But then he was positive because he got 3 assists last night. So that's what gave him the even on the night instead of being a minus. But it's those little details. It's following a guy, like Sergey followed his guy into the corner twice when he should have stayed back, which when he went to the opposite corner, that left somebody wide open in front of the net twice. So missing assignments, and then just little things in the offensive zone that I think they can fix pretty quick. And just keeping those blue line turnovers, because we had a few of those. You saw Utah going a few times and turn the puck over before they really established anything in the offensive zone. Keller is uncharacteristically throwing passes that are getting intercepted. I've said for 2 years now that I think he's one of the best, most elite passers I've ever seen in the league or anywhere ever. He's just got such great vision, but Vegas seems to be clogging those lanes. They must have watched a ton of film on him. So Utah's going to need to figure that out. And I also went back through, though, and it always feels to me that when Utah's going to Vegas, they have a pretty good chance. And I went back through in the last 2 seasons, Utah's played 6 games there. They're 3-3, but in those 3 wins, 2 of them are shutouts, which, Utah didn't have a lot of. So going into Vegas, I feel like, Utah just has to split the next 3 games. They got to get a win. They got to get a win in Vegas and win at home. But just one win in Vegas and hold serve at home. And this is Utah's series. But it's competitive. It's an emotional roller coaster. Had to make sure to take some. It's a good thing to take extra blood pressure medicine, right?
Yeah, for sure. Fine. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think
some works.
Yeah, double it up is probably the prescribed thing to do after a game like that.
That's my go-to with anything. I think, the old less is more is, it doesn't apply to me. Jay, how do you counter, so I'm just looking at stats on the series, and the one that is glaring is Vegas has spent 45.6% of the series in their offensive zone. How do you counter that? And to me last night, it seemed as though fatigue became a factor when, late in the overtime when Vegas was just able to pin the puck down in their zone.
Yeah, and that comes down to that. It's that body blow mentality. Even though Utah out-hit Vegas, Vegas was definitely hitting back, right? And I think maybe they did do those body blows, and it wore Utah down in the defensive zone. They missed assignments. They didn't finish some checks, and they made it so that Vegas spent more time than you want. We used to have a saying that if you're stuck in your zone for 15, that'll cost. If you're in for 15 seconds, that's going to cost you at least 90 seconds. And if you're in your zone for 90 seconds, you're either going to give up 1 or 2, which means you're going to either give up a goal or you're going to take a penalty. That's what happens in 90 seconds in your defensive zone. Because if you don't clear it, guys start overreaching. Maybe they hook or they miss an assignment that scores a goal. They get the penalty. So Utah just needs to clean that up a little bit. I almost feel like the man-on-man that they were doing seemed to be overwhelming to their own defense. I think they kept missing that. And that was mostly at the end of the third period. I hope they weren't like prevent defense type stuff.
I was going to ask you that, Jay, because it felt like when Utah was up 4-3 in the second or in that third period, it almost felt like when, a football team goes into, plays, prevent defense.
Yeah, and we don't typically see that in hockey. You do change a little bit, right? You do change a little bit of your defense isn't going to pinch in your offensive zone. They're going to be more aggressive on getting back to protect the lead. But other than that, you should still see your forward. You should still see your forecheck going as hard as it was and trying to create turnovers. And we definitely saw, I think they started gripping their sticks too tight, which is a saying we use all the time about being a little too nervous and trying to protect that lead. And defense did stop pinching. So those turnovers and the offense we were generating that got Utah's, got Utah back in the game and then eventually gave them the lead. When they had the lead, they seemed to just maybe let off the gas a little bit and the nerves set back in. So that's a live and learn, though, right? You win or you learn. And I think you're seeing each game, Utah gets better. They get smarter. And Torts is over there making all kinds of adjustments. And it's felt like Bear has done the same thing. He's doing it. But it feels like Bear has been able to move the chess pieces as well as any coach we've ever seen. Like, he keeps making the adjustments. And it's just coming down to those fine details. But again, a lot of people thought Utah was going to get swept. Some people said one of the teams would win in 6. So I just like what I've been seeing out of Utah, where I'm nitpicking on little things and little missed assignments. But in the playoffs, if your power play doesn't score and your penalty kill doesn't do things, and if you miss the fine details, you won't win the game.
The power play seemed discombobulated last night. A lot of, just errant passes. And did you see the same thing? And what can they do better in power play to have some success?
Vegas has definitely watched tape on Utah's power play, and they have definitely figured out how to shut it down. They're 1 for 11, I think. Or no, they're 11%. They're 11%. And that's not going to get you anything. So what Utah needs to do is change it up. If this bumper play isn't working, and I know I said this a lot at the beginning of the season, the bumper play isn't working. They try to pass down below the goal line, and then they're trying to hit Schmaltz or somebody right in the slot on that open area.
Yeah.
And Vegas has 2 defenders pinned in there, making sure that bumper play doesn't work. So you have to do something else. You either overload to a side or you go back to the umbrella. And with the way Utah's defense has been scoring, it makes most sense to switch back to the umbrella, which means you put your 3 guys in front of the net or 2 guys in front of the net, 1 guy kind of floating up high, almost like a bumper, and then just let the defense fire howitzers from the point and create chaos in front of Carter Hart. We've seen that he's a really good goalie. We've seen that he makes really good saves if he can see the puck. So park somebody's big body in front of him. It's got to be somebody big. It's got to be Lawson Krause. I mean, we don't have a lot of options right now. But Lawson Krause, if we can get McBain back, you got to put somebody like that right in Carter Hart's face and get some shots coming from the point and dig rebounds and go to work. It's blue collar work. It's greasy work, but somebody's got to do it. You've got to get that power play on track.
So Bill Armstrong, and he'll join us coming up here in about an hour and a half from now for his weekly conversation. But sometimes he makes the game seem pretty simple. And he's like, because I'll ask him, hey, offensively, things are picking up. What are you doing? He's like, we're putting shots on goal. We're taking shots. And I think that when Utah really got back into this game and they scored those 2 goals really quickly, it's like, you know what? Let's stop being cute. Let's stop going side to side, and let's just take some cracks at the goal. And that's when things started working. And then when things slowed down for Utah, it's when they went back to what they were doing before. But it feels like the more aggressive you are getting a shot on goal and really putting heart to work, the better off things are.
Yeah, if you set up in the offensive zone and get shots on net, we always talk about it. You've heard the saying by now, throw pucks at the net, good things might happen or good things will happen. And Utah needs to do a lot more of that. You started seeing, like, Ian Cole doesn't shoot that often. And to see Carcone line up on the right side and fire the Logan Cooley one-timer, like, so you're seeing everybody else start to pitch in, and that's exactly what has to happen in playoffs. But you're right. They go in, and when they try to set up the Utah offense in that zone, and it's typically, whether it's a power play or when it's just line one out there, you got Keller up on the right midboard, and he's looking for that cross-seam pass, and Vegas just isn't having any of it. One, they're not giving Keller any time and space or respect, and he hasn't earned it against them in the playoffs. They're shutting him down pretty well. And 2, if he doesn't have the time and space he wants, then he makes those passes where he's not seeing that lingering defender or the third forward, like covering a little bit high, looking for that cross seam pass, which has caused breakaways the other way. So yeah, those are the things they got to do. But when you boil it right down, Bill Armstrong, who I admire and think a lot of his hockey knowledge, and a little bit afraid of him too, if I'm honest. But
Same.
I pulled up his tapes. Just go on and watch his fight tapes. I ask him really respectful questions in all my interviews. But yeah, he's right. Keep it simple. Hockey is hockey, and throw stuff at the net. Get in the zone and just start throwing stuff at the net, and things might happen. You saw it happen in the Pittsburgh-Philly game, right? A game-winning goal off a deflection off the board from behind the net. That's incredible in the playoffs. But sometimes you just got to dig down and get garbage goals and hope for the best. And Utah's got a garbage goal in each game so far. So it's not like luck hasn't been on their side. They just ran out of steam last night. So yeah, Bill's absolutely right. But I think pick up those fine details, get the shots on net. Let's start crashing the net. Let's create chaos. And you saw that not only were they not crashing the net as much, you didn't see as many scrums last night, right?
Yeah.
It seemed like they were not interested in the scrums. And I don't know if that was Utah being disciplined or if that was Vegas taking the foot off a little bit, saying, hey, it didn't work that great. Although the first game where they just doubled us in hits, that's when they beat Utah, right? So it's crazy. And I'm sure Torini's watching every bit of film and keeping it as simple as possible and getting ready for this game in Vegas. But I really like Utah's chances.
Do you make it much of Peterka not getting? I know he did not come out with a couple lines that expected him. Any thoughts on why he was not out there more?
Yeah, he had a couple bad turnovers, and it just looked like he was not in his game. In fact, the shorthanded goal came off his stick. Basically, it was a bad pass from Veggie, but it's still a pass that somebody like Peterka should have been able to handle. You got to know if your goalie's throwing you a pass that it's not going to be perfect. We don't have the right gloves to make perfect passes, right?
Exactly.
So it's like it's horseshoes when a goalie's throwing. Like it's pretty close. So take that. That's a good pass. And so I did notice Peterka got a little less ice after that play. I thought he was a little bit of a vulnerability, not terribly, but he was a little bit of a vulnerability. And they did a lot of work on him this year, taking him from 100% offensive to putting defense back in his game. And I think he hasn't been able to provide as much offensively. And I think that's messing with his head a little bit. And I think that's where he got off defensively last night. And man, I'll tell you, Torini, if you miss those fine details, he's going to make sure you know about it. And he's not afraid to bench anybody and have that conversation and make sure you don't make that mistake again. After the penalty, I was surprised to see Stenlund back in overtime, honestly, because I thought that was a horrible play, and I thought that was one of the ones that you benched somebody for.
So I guess you could go glass half full or glass half empty. The fact is that Utah lost that game, and one of the big reasons why were just self-inflicted mistakes, just silly mistakes or silly turnovers or bad passes, things along those lines. It's one thing to lose a game when the other team is just so much better than you are. That's not the case here. Most of what Utah did wrong was just self-inflicted, screw-ups. So you could say, all right, well, that we can fix those things and go on to win the series. Or you can also be like, man, we let one get away just because we dropped the ball here a little bit. So where are you at on that?
I'm going to have to go glass half full. I believe that Utah did make some self-inflicted wounds, and I hate to use cliches, but like I already said, either you win or you learn.
Yeah.
And I think Utah is young, and all those superstars are young, and you watch them, and Cooley turns 22 next week, I think. I mean, he's going to be an amazing player. And I just kind of isolated him a little bit, and just watched some of his stuff last night, and even on defense. The kid is really starting to become elite, and he's such a good skater. It just guys like that are just going to keep getting better and better. And I'm not saying season to season. I'm saying shift to shift, game to game. They're going to be better. So they're going to learn from those mistakes they made. Bear's going to point out the parts that he needs to point out. We need the power play to just be worked on, and you need three options, like You need, you got to have the audible when you get to the line. You got to have the call and just say, hey, this is what we're doing. This is the power play. We're switching to this, and switch it in the middle of the power play. And it's just so that everybody knows, like, okay, the bumper's blocked. Let's go to an overload on the left side, or just go back to basics and go to the umbrella and throw pucks at the net. But yeah, I think they're going to learn. It's impossible not to have a little bit of a letdown after, fighting back from 3-zip, taking the lead, taking it to overtime, and then thinking you lost in overtime and getting the reprieve so that you're back on, you're off life support and should have been able to get a win, but that's hockey. Guys, you've got to have that 12 o'clock mentality, right? It resets the next day and move on.
So as much as the power play has not been firing on all cylinders for Utah, the penalty kill has been phenomenal. 11 straight penalty kills, as Lloyd pointed out earlier in the show. They gave up an early one in Game 2, and then it's been lights out ever since. So if we're going to get after Utah for the power play, we also, the one thing that Tim and I were talking about, we also got to talk them up when it comes to the penalty kill.
100%. And man, and it's everything. It's everything you want to see in a penalty kill. Everybody's blocking shots. Everybody's in the lane. Veggie's on fire. I mean, he made some really good saves in games 3 and 4 on penalty kill. And we always say the goalie has to be the best penalty kill, but it was like, you really like what you're seeing, and you think, okay, this is the structure they want. This is the guys making sacrifice, laying down the bodies. Let's apply a little of that peanut butter on the other side. Let's toast both sides of the bread. But it's just been getting. I love seeing it shut down the Vegas power play, and it's the same thing Vegas is doing to Utah on their power play. They block every shot, they close every lane, and they put their chin right up against your chin every time they get the opportunity. And there's just no time or space on the power play or in playoffs.
Crunchy or smooth? What are you going with your peanut butter?
Always crunchy for me for some reason.
I'm with you. Unpopular opinion.
I go
the texture.
And I go honey on top of that.
You go crunchy or smooth?
I don't care. I'm good either. Surprised me, but honey.
Honey, yeah, peanut butter and honey. You can't go wrong with that.
Then you dunk that
down
in.
For it.
Then dunk it in milk.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, that's the trick.
Right there. Jay, big one in Vegas. This one certainly is absolutely huge because either way, we're going to see a Game 6, a closeout for somebody, whether it be Vegas if they win Game 5 or if Utah. And you'd much rather avoid a Game 7 in Vegas if you can. So this is a big one coming up.
Yeah, we talk about it every time you're in a playoff game. You just keep talking about how important this game is, right? Last game was important because it's going to be either 3-1 or 2-2. And can you imagine if it was 3-1 going back to Vegas right now?
Yeah,
all the odds would be on Utah. But right now, the odds are they're flipping. Nobody really knows what's going to happen in this series. But Utah has a really good chance in Vegas. I really think they do. I think they learned a ton. I think they can go to Vegas and they can get this win. And that's not me just being optimistic. That's me looking at the numbers from the last 2 games and looking at the plays that the guys are making and saying, Carter Hart made some remarkable saves. And there was a one-timer, I think it was Cooley, that just barely didn't creep through. I mean, give Carter Hart all the credit. He got across quick. He's made really good moves, but that's the difference, right? And it was the same thing at the beginning of Game 3. Veggie made a couple saves. He made a save on almost the identical goal they gave up at the very beginning of Game 4, and he stopped that in Game 3. So just a couple little things here and there, and that's a whole different game. It's going to be the same thing in Vegas. And, I just put my money on those superstars coming up and being young and being mad, and there's a chip on their shoulder now, and they're going to go to Vegas and prove it.
Let's get it. Hey, always a pleasure. Jay, thanks again, and let's chat again here very soon.
Outstanding. Thanks, guys.
You got it. Man, look, he's good. Jay Stevens is awesome.
Yeah, I would imagine he was a killer goalie, too.
Oh, yeah.
The effort he gives in his journalism.
Well, and I also think, too, if you were a guy kind of standing in that crease in front of him, you're going to get a stick in your back. Like, right, bam, just right in the
he told us that, right?
Small in the back. Like, hey.
That was important.
You get out.
Get out of my zone.
Get out of my area,
dog.
Here. Yeah. All right, good, the bad, the ugly coming up next. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hey, sweetie, your mother showed me this Carvana thing for selling the car. I'm going to give it a try. Wish me luck. Me again. I put in the license plate. It gave me an offer. Unbelievable. Okay, I accepted the offer. They're picking it up Tuesday from the driveway. I haven't even left my chair. It's done. The car's gone. I'm holding a check. Anyway, Carvana, give it a whirl. Love ya.
So good, you'll want to leave a voicemail about it. Sell your car today on
Carvana.
Pickup fees may apply.
It's time to saddle up and talk about the winners and the losers. This is the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, here's the good.
It is your good, it is your bad, it is your ugly right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hey, remember, coming up on Thursday, we will be live at Tim Daly Mazda in Sandy, 10785 South Automall Drive. Real easy. Just take that 106 South exit. It's on Automall Drive. Come on by. Hang out. We'll have fun. Jake and the crew going to get you in one of those new Mazdas.
We'll talk him into crazy deals and stuff like that.
And that's the thing. As the show goes on, the crazier the deals get. So
Deals.
Am I saying it right, Lloyd?
Deals.
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 No.
Deals.
No. People get mad when you say dills.
Deals.
Deals.
You got killer deals.
Killer deals. It's the real deal.
Holyfield.
Yeah.
The real deal.
Yeah. Am I saying it right?
Nailing it, man.
Okay, good.
You have it down.
I was at a function a couple of years ago.
Hey, I never really called you out on that, by the way. It was somebody else.
I know it was.
And I just kind of played with it, but somebody else did.
Oh, Lloyd Cole.
That's saying Lloyd's never to blame. It's always somebody else.
Exactly.
But he piles on.
Yes. Lloyd Cole was a mighty fine soul. Mighty fine soul was he.
Garrett Bowles caught in the act.
Speaking of mighty fine soul.
Yes. Now, usually when you see a camera phone footage of an athlete out in the wild, it's usually not particularly good.
I was like, oh, no, Garrett, what did you do?
Garrett Bowles caught on a cell phone camera changing a woman's tire. That's right. Pulled over, had his beautiful ride, by the way. It looked like a pimped-out Humvee. Parked on the side of the road, saw a lady that had a blown tire. So he pulls over, and she takes some footage. He didn't want it out there. He tried to keep it quiet, but she got the video of him sitting down on the side of the freeway, trying to twist the old lug nuts. And, I thought it was pretty impressive to see Garrett Bowles out there changing tires.
Well, first and foremost, what a cool guy. Just do your thing, Be you. But I got to pose the question to you two, percentage-wise. And I know you've had a recent tire mishap. Yeah. So you know what it feels. Well, we don't need to turn up.
He's had more than one tire mishap.
I've had a lot of tires.
It's kind of what he's known for.
Stop it.
Well, some of them are self-inflicted.
Yeah.
Curbs.
They happen.
They're there.
Yeah.
Or a screwdriver because you just don't want to go somewhere. You just shove a screwdriver right in.
Sometimes we're really not feeling going to that golf tournament. And
anyhow, I just remember you telling a very traumatic tire story. Where are you guys on the stop and help the people on the side of the road thing?
Oh, screw them.
That does not surprise me.
I've got somewhere to be. Screw you. I'm sorry.
Okay. No.
If I would have written down what I thought the answers would be, that would be in the ballpark.
I am. Okay. So it depends on my perceived level of their capabilities. All right. So
that makes sense.
If you see an elderly woman on the side of the road and she's staring at a flat tire, I think you need to pull over and help out any way you can. If it's a 25-year-old strapping young man, no, you're on your own, buddy. You need to know how to do this.
I think that's very fair.
Yes, you're spot on.
And again, it doesn't surprise me that you're right in the wheelhouse. I'm certainly not 100%, but I do kind of qualify the person in my. You've got about a 7-second window to assess that person needs help. Or not.
Well, it depends also where it's at. If it's on the freeway, it's kind of terrifying sometimes
scary.
on the freeway.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I'm a little bit.
So you're essentially better them than you.
Absolutely. Okay, again, this is coming off bad, but it's like, because sometimes those are there's not a lot of space on the freeway
and
sometimes.
To be able to stop.
And if it's on the inside or the outside. If it's on the outside, I'm sorry.
Well, there is incident management for that. I have been a fine, I was a lost soul once on the freeway, and incident management stopped, and they were terrific.
But the cone's out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get me where I'm needing to go.
Absolutely. I'm all for that. Look, sometimes it can be pretty harrowing when you're on the side of the road there, especially if you got all the construction going on and you don't have much of a side. Yeah, I totally get that.
I had a blown tire not that long ago that was actually in one of those construction areas, and I was going to get out and change it myself because I was like, I could do this real quick. And then I realized those cars zipping by I'm like, I'm going to die if I do this. So, no, I'm calling somebody else to help me.
All right, so I'm going to admit something that I'm not particularly proud of, but I grew up on a farm. We change tires all the time, tractors, whatever. Changing tires is like second nature to me. Until not this car, but a car before, I got a flat tire. I was in a parking lot, come out, and flat tire. I'm like, all right, well, that stinks. And so you go in the back to go get the jack and the tire, and I'm like, where is this? Like, I couldn't find it. And I'd had the car for like a couple months, and I'm lifting up, it's not there. And then I look down, and it's underneath the car, and I'm like, I don't even know how to access this thing. I can't find the jack. Like, everything's all...
You got to go through a training when you get a new car. You have to go through a training, and you actually kind of have to change a tire once just to see what it's like.
Exactly,
yeah.
And it was and so I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing here. Like, this isn't like the old school, where you got that it's pretty easy.
You felt a little less human that day, didn't you?
I felt like a less of a man.
Yeah.
Because then I did call roadside assistance. I'm like, I just need somebody to show me how to access this tire. And he comes in like, yeah, these things are a pain in the butt. And apparently there's this little thing that you do in the trunk, and you swirl that thing around a little bit, and then it drops the tire down, and then you have to go and do this and this. I'm like, why did we make things so complicated? It's like we want people to call roadside assistance. No, you're neutering an entire part of the demographic. Let us change the tire. Don't make it so hard on me. Like I want to teach my kids how to change tires. I want my guys to be men, to be like, all right, don't worry, honey, I got this. I can change. And I'm looking at that. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing here.
You couldn't do that?
You want Brody sitting there helping you, teaching him, and maybe the bolts go flying, and he goes, fudge.
Yeah, I'm. What's funny is I had the exact same experience. That's why I was going to say, who the hell are you that you can't do that? No,
I know, right?
No. I'm telling you, early in my marriage, I needed to change a battery. My good friend Billy D, who's out there somewhere.
Billy D. Williams?
No, I've got nicknames for everybody. Billy D, he knows who he is, but he offered to come help me, replace my battery. So he's like, I just need some pliers and we should be good. I mean, I wouldn't know if the battery was under the car in the trunk. I mean, I'm telling you, I was a derelict and still am in that regard. But I go in, I have pliers, and I walk out.
Oh, boy.
And I've got a pipe wrench. And he just like, dude, you need to take a man's course because you were ill-prepared
for life,
for manhood. Because how in the world do you think I'm going to get the battery off with that pipe wrench? You tell me. I'm serious. So
no, like my kid, his battery went out on him, and so I'm like, all right, we're going to get in the car. We're going to go to the car, the whatever. Whichever sold the cheapest battery. We went to like 3 or 4 different places. Those things aren't cheap anymore. Holy smokes. So we got that, and, I went down. We're like, okay, this is how we pop that out. This is what we put it on. Red, black, boom. And it fires up, and I'm like, he's looking at me like, oh, my dad knows something. I'm like, yeah, I know. I can do this. And you know what? And before that, his battery died at work, so I went over there. I'm like, okay, look, red to red, black to black. Turn it over. There's your jump. Let's bring it on home. Change the battery. And
bada bing, bada boom.
And he's looking at me like, oh, I respect him a little bit more. That's all we want. So don't make the tires so hard to change. Anyway. All right.
Hey, Russ, you want to share a beer?
Good chat, Russ.
He grabs it back, and Russ has drained about 3/4 of it. He drank it like I was drinking the water in your office today. He was... Which I have learned you can't do anything. Like, you need to, when I drink water, I need to be so careful, because if I do anything a teeny bit out of kilter, I'm going to get called on.
Look, this is a great job. We are extremely lucky to do what we do.
It's the best job in the world.
It is the best job in the world. But, yeah.
We notice oddities.
Everybody's looking for an opportunity to bust chops.
We notice
around
things.
Well, you know what's crazy? I definitely am the same way. And Dave Rose, right before games, like we'd be in pivotal games, and, he'd see some guy across the way that looked like, William Shatner or something, And so we had this game like, the look-alike game. So he'd walk by me like, William Shatner at 11 o'clock. Look over right before the tip, and he'd get me feeling loose. But, every little clique and group has their thing.
Oh, I got a great Craig Smith story to tell you during the break.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, there's your good. Let's get to the bad.
Now the bad.
Okay, so may not necessarily be a bad, but I'm a little upset about this because Cooper Flagg is going to have all the awards. Like, Cooper Flagg is going to be perennial all-star. He'll be right there for an MVP a few times. He's going to be associated with being one of the best players in the league for a decade, 15 years to come. Like, we know he's going to be special. And I know Con Knipple will never sniff the same stratosphere that Cooper Flagg will be at when we look at his overall career. But Con Knipple had the better rookie season than Cooper Flagg, in my opinion. And sure enough, Cooper Flagg ends up being the Rookie of the Year in the NBA. Give Con one thing. Like, just let him have this one thing. Cooper's going to take everything else. But let Con have the Rookie of the Year. But no, we got to give that to Cooper Flagg, too.
So, again, we talked earlier about the transparency and the decisions made by the NBA. I mean, I looked through a bunch of things last week in preparation for this, and nearly everything I looked at said it was Knipple based on the numbers. And so, yet again, this is much like Bronny getting drafted to the Lakers.
Yes.
All these little things, it's a way to get more drama. A little, certainly Cooper Flagg is going to sell more T-shirts, and more jerseys over his time. So, yeah, forget the merit. Who cares about merit? It's like Little League Baseball.
Yeah.
It's whose dad's the commissioner.
I mean, look, you already conspired to get him to Dallas. He's already going to have, he'll probably even have an MVP or two along the way. Like, this dude is going to be special, a generational player in the league. So he's going to have all the good stuff. Like, let Con just have this one.
What's cool, though, is Con is just comfortable being Con.
Yeah, I know.
And one common thread, you saw his team this year, a team that perennially was really bad. He was actually a guy that helped move the needle the right direction. And they'll make some tweaks, but that dude will be a part of a ton of winning in his NBA career.
Will they be a ton of winning as long as there's a ball on the team?
No. Well, they'll win.
They'll win,
it's just
but
like we just talked about with Detroit. Will you win in the guts of the game? And that's where he's got his biggest issues. I think the reworking of that team may, perhaps use him for dangle him out there and see what people are willing to give you back. And then maybe you can go get somebody who's, not just a great player and really talented, but cares about winning and things outside of that.
I know some of the comments he made after the season didn't sit well with you.
No, and the way he drives and the way he treats people. And, I mean, I think there's a common thread there. So I just, it's not necessarily that hard to see that when somebody's wrapped up in their self, it's hard for an organization to grow.
I remember Theo Epstein when he was running the Cubs. I think he was talking about Anthony Rizzo, but he said it's really important for the best player in your locker room to be one of the best people in your locker room. Would you agree with that?
Totally. Yeah, and if you have that, then your culture is able to just fit nicely. It's it's when you have the Jordan rules, right? When there is a separation between what is required and demanded of the best players and everybody else, when you can have harmony in the locker room, everybody understands their role, but whether that best player is a great person, looks out for others, it's why Jimmer was able to be Jimmer.
Yeah, because it could have been easy for that locker room to get fractured pretty quick.
No, and you take any team sport that somebody gets the lion's share of the attention, you're fighting a battle internally, regardless, because we know how people are, and for every player, there's at least two parents that, or two people that come in and, kind of take their stake in the deal. So it gets muddy in there when you take into account everything you're dealing with.
I mean, I remember seeing Jackson Emery in high school. That dude's a high-level scorer. And he gets to college, and Jimmer blows up, and it's like, hey, you're our defensive guy. You know, you're the guy that gets stops. And you got to swallow a lot of pride to be able to do that, but when you know it's for the betterment of the team.
Well, in shots, you look through that roster. Brandon Davies was unbelievable. Noah Hartsock was incredible. You had, Jackson, Jimmer, and Charles Abua, who's the winningest player in the history of the school. And all those guys, but Coach said this all the time, and I think it's kind of what you're seeing with the Mammoth. Give something of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You give, you throw things into the middle, that collective group can get pretty powerful.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Lloyd, you don't need to make jokes about Tim LaComb drinking water on Twitter.
Oh, gosh.
That's pretty much it. It is pretty much it, though.
Hold on. I just need to look.
What did you just do?
That's exactly what I did, though.
It is.
Like, I made it.
Wrong.
If I was out at the Salt Flats, it would have been a land speed record.
Saying he looked like Napoleon Dynamite drinking that water. Jeez.
I've had a lot of practice.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Coming up in about an hour and a half, we will have a great conversation, as always. Bill Armstrong. He'll go over a heartbreaking loss last night, so we will chat with him coming up at 1:30. And, of course, Kurt Helin will join us in about 15 minutes from now as well. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hey, sweetie, your mother showed me this Carvana thing for selling the car. I'm going to give it a try. Wish me luck. Me again. I put in the license plate. It gave me an offer. Unbelievable. Okay, I accepted the offer. They're picking it up Tuesday from the driveway. I haven't even left my chair. It's done. The car is gone. I'm holding a check. Anyway, Carvana, give it a whirl. Love ya.
So good, you'll want to leave a voicemail about it. Sell your car today on
Carvana.
Pickup fees may apply.
We're locked on to Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb.
Now I know you all are tripping.
Presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is what Lloyd drives, downtown Salt Lake City.
No, this is the start of my vacation.
That's when he's got
with nobody.
The windows down.
Oh, this was his ringtone back then.
Yeah.
I remember now.
Right
in the middle of class.
University of Utah, when you had those old cell phone ringtones.
And it was like, it wasn't the real song.
I was listening to our favorite.
Oh, I bet you were. Yeah. Lloyd and I had some common listening when in our teenage years that maybe we're not particularly proud of.
Yeah, it'll make you blush.
Yeah.
If you think the language on Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg's bad.
That was one of those.
What are you talking about? Eazy-E?
Worse. Actually, worse.
Hey, I love that. I love Eazy-E.
There was nothing that would scare. And look, the kids these days don't understand because, you're listening to stuff on your phone. But back in the old days with the cassettes, and you would be driving the parents' car, and you'd leave the cassette in the car and the volume up, and then you'd forget to take the cassette out, and then Mom would hop back in the car, turn the ignition, and then she'd hear some Ghetto Boys blasting in her ears. That was an uncomfortable conversation.
And you would never see that tape.
That tape was tossed into the garbage and set on fire, and you had to make a trip to your church leader.
Ecclesiastical.
There we go. Leader.
Nailed it.
Yeah, my bad. Hey, it was a late night last night.
I got you.
Give me a little bit.
With you.
I had 12 years of worrying about that one, so
yeah.
I didn't know it. Ecclesiastical.
And so, got to get that endorsement.
Yes, that was very pivotal each and every year.
Oh, jeez. I can't believe it.
It was.
I know. But that was tough. So, these kids, they don't know what the challenge is like, trying to listen to music you weren't supposed to listen to.
Mine was Twisted Sister. I brought Twisted Sister home.
Boy, I bet Mom sees that video. She'd be a little upset.
Well, the album cover was one where he's sitting in the corner gnawing on a enormous. It's like one of those turkey legs from from Disneyland. But the title track or one of the first song on the album was "You're Gonna Burn in Hell."
Yeah.
And she saw it and she flipped it over and saw that and woo. He wasn't gonna, or whoever he was singing to, I was going to burn in hell.
Yes, yeah.
So we got rid of that very quickly, and then I had to sneak Motley Crue in later.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, that's when you take your buddy's tape and then you just record your own.
That was
and then write
Neil Sedaka.
Mormon Tabernacle Choir or something on there. Yeah.
Neil Sedaka.
Sedaka. Oh, man. You know what? I'm not going to miss listening to that music. That's for sure.
What?
Come on.
Neil
Sedaka.
Yeah.
I mean, look,
Sedaka's great.
I love my guy, but
you're not going to miss out on it because I love it too.
Oh, stop it. Are you really going to play that nonsense?
Yes, absolutely. They just play it for him.
Come on, you can tell me that you don't like that, right?
I didn't just play it for him.
No, I'm not going to be the music.
Just another day. Like, oh, please make it stop.
I was saying Neil Sedaka. He was an old crooner.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
he was
okay.
actually had it right.
Yeah.
You were getting it wrong.
I know.
You were trolling.
Yeah.
He was not.
Yeah. And now it got to the point where I think that's his name because
Are you saying John Cicada?
John Cicada, yeah.
I like that song.
Oh, I liked it the first 8 million times I heard it.
No, but when you hear it, it uplifts you a little bit. Depends on what you're doing. You're raking leaves, you get a little more vigorous.
Well, I think it was making our other guy a little vigorous, too. All right, noon right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Coming up next, it is Kurt Helin, NBC Sports and ProBasketballTalk.com, right here on the Zone.
The Jazz, the Mammoth, and the Utes, Cougars, and Aggies. When it comes to sports in Utah, we've got you covered. This is Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Look, I know we're all still a little in anguish over that NHL game last night. Utah Mammoth lose in overtime, 5-4. Bill Armstrong, general manager of the Utah Mammoth, will join us coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. But let's talk some NBA playoffs. Our favorite, Kurt Helin, NBC Sports and ProBasketballTalk.com, kind enough to join us. Kurt, how the heck are you?
I'm doing good. I got to say this for the NHL. Like NHL playoffs, when they go to overtime, those games are dramatic. It's fun. It's also like an extra gut punch when you lose that way. But it is the one thing they do really well. That like the untimed overtime is amazing.
I did not anticipate going all in on hockey like I have. You know, the Mammoth are here, so okay, we got an NHL team. We'll cover it. We'll treat it just like any other professional franchise. And I'm not going to lie, me and my 14-year-old son, we sit back and we can't get enough of this stuff, man. It's like inject it right into our veins. We love this stuff.
Especially if you can get to games. Hockey is a sport, more than basketball, certainly more than football, where it's so much different and so much better live. It is just a great live sport.
So are the Denver Nuggets, considering how they played last night and the injuries to Minnesota, are they still alive in this series?
Yes, mostly due to the injuries, I think. I think if you're Minnesota, right, you've got to close this at home 6. Like, you do not want Game 7 back in Denver. And I think they've got a chance. They
Oh, man. Right there, and we lost him.
That's good radio.
I know. In fact, I'd let it just go hang a little bit, like another second or two. We'll try to get Kurt Helin back on the line. But this Game 6 it's it for Minnesota. If this goes 7, Denver's going to win it. Don't you think?
I would think so with the experience. And, the factor is Denver really can now play more like they play. They're not going to be as inhibited defensively without Ann out there. He makes a big difference physically on Murray. And then DiVincenzo, he was just so important to the fabric of their team, making things go, being willing to do all the little things, and then making big shots. So it's going to be really, really tough. The momentum, obviously, at home is going to be the chance you got, and you got to take it.
By the way, we are about a week and a half away from the draft lottery. By the way, so we got to be careful about this because the lottery is actually on Mother's Day. And so, I know all you guys want to be dialed into lottery, but, let's not sacrifice any of your marriage responsibilities or your son responsibilities.
Hey, hold brunch just 1 second.
Just a second. I got to see how these lottery balls line up.
I forgot my socks.
And you're like, Come on.
Lock the door.
Come on, make the announcement. Make the announcement. And then heaven forbid it doesn't go the Jazz way, and then you're in a bad mood the rest of the day. That's not going to sit well.
Happy Mother's Day.
All right, Kurt Helin back with us. We're talking about the Nuggets. Are they and look, if Minnesota doesn't win Game 6, I think Denver wins this series.
I would agree. And I don't know, if you're San Antonio, by the way, are you rooting pretty hard for Minnesota to close this out in 6?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
let's get to them while we can.
Exactly. Denver, for all the question marks I've got after this series about their defense and consistency, I don't want to see them especially if I get a hobbled Minnesota team at this point.
Yeah, the other factor too is they find a way. Anytime in the playoffs a team fights off elimination like that, it's almost like they get extra life from it. You know what I mean? The Magic Pistons, that's been fascinating. The question all year long, are the Pistons really that good? I think the answer is they beat up on a pretty soft East, whose leaders are really struggling in the playoffs. What do you make of the Magic Pistons series?
Two things. Let's give the Magic some credit for, they kind of got healthy, but this is the best basketball they've played all season. They have come together. Jalen Suggs is such a glue piece for that team, and things are coming together. And that said, their offense is stunk in this series still. It's just that Detroit, all the things we talked about all season long, and Coach, I know you probably talked about this too. They don't have enough secondary shot creating. I'm worried about their shooting. They just bully people and score inside, and that works great during the regular season. And then you get into the playoffs against a team with legitimate size and physicality that can match you. And not every team could in this situation, but they got one who could. Orlando's not getting bullied inside. And what's more, you watch them, Cade starts to drive and gets into the lane, and they collapse on the gaps. They get into the paint. They try to reflect stuff because they don't fear anybody else. Jalen Duren hasn't stepped up. Duncan Robinson's the only shooter I sort of fear on that team. I'll let anybody else take their outside shots. And they just can't win the way they were winning anymore. And they don't have a plan B.
So this is obviously, as you mentioned, Orlando's playing well. But, if Detroit gets knocked out in the first round, just how much of how much does that 60 wins in the season really matter if you can't make it out of the first round?
I think it does, in the sense that they know what they want to be, and they know they've got an identity. They know who they are, what they want to be now. They have got to go out and get secondary scoring options and more shooting, which join the 29 other teams. Well, maybe 28, but everybody's looking for more shooting and scoring options. So there's a bit of a price premium there, but they're going to have to find it because there's a clear weakness and chink in the armor, and that's why. I'm glad for you guys they didn't, but this is why everybody was crying Lauri Markkanen trades at one point, because that's the kind of guy they need. Now they're not going to get Lauri out of Utah at this point, obviously, but they need someone of that ilk, right? A big who can stretch the floor like that and do a little secondary shot creation would change things for them.
And as you said, that's going to cost a lot. You gotta figure that one out. What do you make of tonight's game in Madison Square Garden? The Knicks, it seems like a big one to me. The Hawks, since February 22nd, have lost 7 games. They've just been on an absolute tear. And we've talked a lot about teamwork today, and it shows you when you get a kind of a me-centric guy out of the equation in Trae Young and more of a we guy, they've really taken root. But this game seems huge to me because of the Hawks seem to have the Knicks number.
They do really have the depth of two things. They have depth of defenders, right? They've got Dyson Daniels and Nickeil Alexander-Walker and other good defenders on that team, but guys that they can continue to just throw at Jalen Brunson. And they've done a good job of going at the Knicks' weaknesses. The Knicks have to play Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns. Towns had a much better game last game, but you can go at their pick and roll, defense. And I think this is going to be, I expect a really close game. The Knicks might pull it out at home. They're just gritty and do it that way. But this is a really even series. And And Tim, I think you hit the nail on the head. Once they moved on from Trae Young and kind of got a more egalitarian offense, right, with Jalen Johnson and Na running the show and just ball movement and some shooting, and Dyson Daniels has shot a lot better this year. Just all of that coming together, you can see a really balanced, well-conceived team.
You mentioned San Antonio, and they'll eventually make quick work out of Portland and move on. But is the NBA at all concerned about the cheap nature of a Portland Trailblazer owner that apparently doesn't want mascots to have a second meal after a game, or like cutting all these weird costs? I mean, to me, it's kind of a bad look. I mean, I understand going in and taking a look at your finances and saying, do we really need to do this and this? But kicking a masseuse out at noon because you don't want to pay an extra 2 hours for her to hold on to a room to get your players the care they need, it's just a bad look.
It's a bad look. He seems unconcerned, according to people who know him and are up there, and we'll see. And again, if they're winning on the court, it covers a lot of other mistakes, right? Like it just covers things. The problem you run into is particular to Portland in the sense that, and I think the former owner, Paul Allen, got this, right? He lavished them with perks because he had more money than, God, but he had all sorts of perks for that team. Now they go, wait, it's a little like Salt Lake in the sense that it's not easy to get players to go to Portland. If players with options don't often choose there, and you've got to give them basketball and personal reasons. I think the Jazz are a great organization that once people get to Utah, a lot of players kind of like the vibe. It fits for not every guy, but it fits for a lot of guys. Portland's sort of the same way. Portland's Portland. It's a unique place, and I love it, but it's not for everyone.
Yep.
It is. It's not for everyone, and it's not for every player. But if you give a guy with real options, well, and the money's the same. The basketball might be a little better, but look how they treat their fans and the staff there. Do I really want to be a part of that, or do I want to go to Utah or wherever, whatever franchise that treats its staff and players well and everything? I'm like, yeah, that's going to matter. Like, agents are going to take note of that.
Well, and that's the thing that Ryan Smith, I think, has done a really good job with the Jazz, and it's really paid dividends on the NHL side. But the NBA, it's like, okay, look, the nightlife thing, there's really not a lot we can do to combat that. The overall impression about the demographics of Utah, we can't really do anything. But what we'll do is we'll go out, and they are building an incredible facility, practice facility. If every player wants their own chef, they get it. Like every perk you could possibly think of, Ryan Smith is spending money on, because it's like, okay, I can't do anything about this, but what I can do is give every single solitary want and need taken care of for these players.
And I think that matters more for veterans as they get older, right? Like if you're that might matter less to you if you're 22 or 23 than it does if you're 27, 28, 29 with a kid or two and a wife and looking at a different point in your life.
Kurt, do you think it's time for the Sixers to retool around these two guards and see what they can get for Embiid?
Yes, but yeah, absolutely.
I understand there's not going to be a ton of takers for what they're going to want.
The problem is Embiid has got 3 guaranteed years at, I forget the exact number, but it's like $57 million and going up from there the next 3 years. Like, it is so much money still on the books for him that they are going to have to attach draft picks or a young player or some sort of asset to get off of that, which might be ultimately the way they want to look at going, but it's a steep price to pay because there's just not going to be much of a market for. The question isn't how good he can be when he's fully healthy over a stretch of time. It's just how much can we count on him? And, by the way, that they brought him back in that last playoff game in kind of a desperation move. But if you put a ball-centric, got to get me some touches guy, and with all due respect, you can't just inject that into the middle of the playoffs and expect it to go smoothly. And it didn't.
How much is the NBA just kind of waiting on bated breath on how bad this gambling thing is going to be? I know Damon Jones pled guilty. He's the first one to plead guilty, which means he probably turned a little state's evidence. So I know this is kind of the tip of the iceberg on what's going to be coming down the pipeline. How concerned is the NBA about the fallout of this one?
Well, come on. It's not like they're in bed with the gambling companies.
No.
No.
By the way, this story brought to you by DraftKings. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Says the guy who's, works for a company that does the same thing.
Yeah.
The league is concerned. I mean, it is a concern, and it's an ongoing concern because I think you're going to start to bring in a younger generation of players who are more used to this. They are expecting to, they grew up with DraftKings and making, I'm sure not till they were 18.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But making bets, even if it wasn't on basketball, they were making bets on football, college football games they were watching with their buddies or NFL or whatever, right? That culture as it moves into the NBA is going to be challenging. And I think they realize that, and they are concerned about it. The answers may be bigger than just the NBA and frankly professional sports. Like, this is more of a societal question that we're starting to come up on with especially with the Kalshi and Poly market and those types of services.
What's your take on can the Spurs can they leapfrog and do it this year? I mean, they certainly stacked up against the Thunder in the regular season, but the playoffs are different, and or is there a learning curve for them?
Well, I believe there is a learning curve in general. If there was one team that was going to just jump that, it might be them. They do match up really well. They would have to shoot lights out in that series. That series is going to be, let's be frank, with all due respect to how good I think Boston is, that's your NBA Finals. If that's the Western Conference Finals, that's your NBA Finals. I am curious, though, when I did a whole story about this, you can find it over at NBC Sports, plug.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
But I did a whole story with them a couple weeks ago, right before the playoffs started, about how they believe it, how they believe that this is different. And they count really two reasons. One, Wemby's just changes everything. There's just nobody like him. And it's just changes the geometry of a court in the way nobody does. It's part of it. The other part is that they think, rightfully, that their defense can get them through the rough offensive patches, that they're going to have patches where they don't score a lot, but that they're such a good defensive team, it's not going to matter that much, that they'll be fine.
Kurt Helin, NBC Sports and ProBasketballTalk.com, joining us as he does every week. All right, so Kurt, I know you're a voter. You know my feelings on this, that, look, Cooper Flagg's going to get all the awards. I wanted Con just to get this one. Look, let Con have this one. Did you vote for my guy Con? Because I feel bad for the guy, because this is the only chance he had to best Cooper in anything in his career.
Yeah, you don't think the former roommates are texting about that?
Yeah, exactly.
I did vote for Con. I'm among the group who thought, and it was close, by the way. I think it was 56-44 for first place. Look, you nailed it. Cooper Flagg is the best player out of this class. Frankly, I think Dylan Harper is going to be second within a couple of years, if not first. But I thought Con had the better year. Lifting. Charlotte's not in the playoffs without him. He played meaningful minutes, put up this incredibly efficient shooting numbers. So I think two things hurt him. One was he faded just a little the last couple of weeks of the season, and Flagg went out and dropped that 51 and had a couple of huge games. The other thing was the ballots came out late this year because of before the play-ins. Usually you have to vote before the play-in started. That didn't happen this year because they were adjudicating the whole Cade Cunningham, Luka Doncic, availability thing. So you got to see a couple of play-in games before that, and Con struggled in both play-in games really, but really struggled. And some voters apparently said that influenced them, and it's interesting because I was like, I don't want to say it didn't make me think about that, but I wasn't going to go back in and change my vote or my mind on it because it's supposed to be a regular season award, but it looks like some people did.
So, Kurt, the Lakers, where are your thoughts on them in terms of you get Austin Reeves back healthy? They very quietly have had a nice start to the playoffs. This isn't a team that's going to go much further than this, though, right?
No. Look, this is a really impressive first-round win, especially considering, I mean, granted, Houston's without Kevin Durant, and they're off, much like we were talking about Detroit earlier, like their offensive flaws have become so magnified in the cauldron of the playoffs. That said, LeBron James has been, jumped in the hot tub time machine and turned back time a little bit, has looked fantastic. Luke Kennard and Marcus Smart have been great, stepped up. Even DeAndre Ayton's played well until he gets thrown out of a game. They get Austin back, and even next series they might get Luka back. So that means even if they got Luka back for the whole series, they maybe can steal 2 from the Thunder, but they're about to run into the juggernaut, and the OKC is just deeper and better.
We're about 10 days away or 12 from learning the positioning of draft for the NBA this year. What are you hearing at the top? Is AJ DeMontis still kind of trending as that top pick in the circles you're in?
Yeah, I'm largely hearing him number 1. I think it'll come down a little bit to just who gets it and what their front office thinks. There are certainly some Peterson fans out there who I don't want to say write this year off because he showed flashes of it, but think the injuries and the cramping and stuff was temporary. And I think especially if he goes in and has great interviews and I believe he's doing workouts. So assuming he has good workouts for whoever lands up top. I don't want to say it can't happen. I'll just say AJ is, of the people I talk to, he's on the top of pretty much every board because pretty much the same ceiling or close to, depending on, again, how you grade them out, but close to the same ceiling, but not the floor, not the concerns that Peterson had after this season. So I expect he'll go number 1, but you never know.
So I know some select members of the media get invited every year to the actual lottery. Yeah. Have you ever been involved in that before?
No, I've never actually gone back east for the actual lottery. We had somebody go a couple of years in a row, and how should I put this? It's not the most non-televised media-friendly event. Like if you're there as a reporter, you just don't get a lot of time. You don't get exclusives. You don't. Just wasn't worth it. Like the expense was just not worth like some inside original content. So that's just not where we've spent our money. I would love to though someday just go back and be part of that room. Like I think that would be fascinating. I've never done it.
Well, I'm just saying if NBC Sports decided to make that happen, we might go halfsies on it and then send you with a bunch of lottery balls that actually have the Jazz combination in them. If you could just kind of quietly just kind of sneak them into the pot.
It's like the Jazz's odds suddenly dramatically improve because all their numbered balls are
we can move that 12% to maybe like 80%, and even then I'm sure the Jazz will still fall 4 spots. But I mean it's amazing how much of the acceleration of this organization, which took some great steps with Jaren Jackson and that trade, but look, if they somehow get that number 1 pick, they get AJ, jerseys are going to sell here like crazy, and this franchise makes a giant leap forward. It's just this draft just signifies so much of what a lot of teams are hoping for in their ability to rebuild on the fly and get to where they want to be.
It really does help to be lucky at the end of the day, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, as much as we can, hey man, the Spurs San Antonio is a top-notch, well-run, top-to-bottom organization that does everything right. They also won the dang lottery. They got lottery odds that gave them Dylan Harper and Victor Wembanyama. Like you've got to get a little bit lucky. The Jazz deserve that luck, but I'll add this for the concerned Jazz fans out there. As long as you land in the top 4, you are going to get somebody who can really help this franchise going forward. It may not. I get the advantages of AJ and especially in Utah, like why, that would be the ideal pick. But if you end up with Cam Boozer, that's not it's not some dramatic loss in the sense of like he doesn't set you back or something. Like Caleb Wilson, all these guys are really able to come in and help.
I think the way you go about it, Kurt, if you're in the room, is just extend your handshake a little past the commissioner and hit the cauldron.
Yeah, there you
and
go.
And then
Yeah,
the
there you
ping
go.
pong balls fly. There's a distraction.
Yeah.
And then
I
you
was
empty
picturing-
them out of
I
your
was pic-
pocket, and then they're all on the floor and go back in.
I was picturing more of like the Goodfellas handshake with a few hundreds in there for Adam Silver, and just slide him a little extra cash like he's a maitre d'.
That works. The problem is the amount of cash that we need to get to Adam Silver would be probably like one of those old like bank bags that you just have to. And I don't know how easy that would be to slide over. That would be a heck of a handshake.
I brought you some shoes, Adam.
Yeah, I brought you this briefcase.
Yes. You left this when you were in Utah last time. Here it is. Yeah. Remember, we've got this for you. Yeah, it is a little heavy, but we didn't open it. We don't know what's in there. Hey, Kurt, we appreciate it, man. You're the best, and look forward to catching up with you again next week.
Take care, guys.
There he is, Kurt Helin, NBC Sports and ProBasketballTalk.com. Look, I'm fine doing any bribing that needs to happen for the Jazz to get that one pick. It's not going to happen. But I would love to see a way in which we could make that happen.
My comeback when he said is, if they can get in the top 4, and I was like, with the 8th pick in the NBA draft.
Yep, plan on it. Last year we actually did a little bit of a charity drive, raising money in hopes of securing a little good karma. That didn't work. So, I mean.
2 for 1.
2 for 1. I mean, we could do a 3 for 1. Or a 3 for 3, considering AJ wears 3.
Hey, whether you get that top overall pick, it's not that important. Don't worry about it.
I mean, I will say Ace Bailey turned out pretty darn good.
He did.
Seems to fit here really well, and certainly Cooper Flagg would have as well. But I do believe there is a major part of it that's hyped for whoever they put in that top position.
Yeah, yep. All right, 12:30, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Scott Garrard alongside the coach, Tim LaComb. In an hour from now, Bill Armstrong, general manager of the Utah Mammoth, will join us for his weekly conversation right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hey, sweetie, your mother showed me this Carvana thing for selling the car. I'm going to give it a try. Wish me luck. Me again. I put in the license plate. It gave me an offer. Unbelievable. Okay, I accepted the offer. They're picking it up Tuesday from the driveway. I haven't even left my chair. It's done. The car's gone. I'm holding a check. Anyway, Carvana, give it a whirl. Love ya.
So good, you'll want to leave a voicemail about it. Sell your car today on
Carvana.
Pickup fees may apply.
The best sports radio in Utah is right here, right here. This is Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb, on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
You proud of yourself, Lloyd?
What?
Making fun of our guy having the larger font on the phone?
I'm right there anyways.
We're going to lean into all of this
He's
stuff.
only a couple years older than us.
I know. Well, a couple of years older than me. You're significantly younger than both of us.
Not like the same. What are you
You're
talking
not
about?
the same.
I'm like 2 years younger than you, 3 years.
Scott Garrard alongside the coach, Tim LaComb. That's Lloyd Cole. New show every day from 10 to 2 as the revamp lineup. Jake and Ben coming up from 2 to 6 right here on The Zone.
I want to be sedated.
Where are you at on the Ramones?
Love.
Yeah, I could see that.
Absolutely love.
The Clash.
Great. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm deeply rooted deep into their catalog, but the stuff that they, I like.
All right, so the beginning riff with the drums and then the guitar of I Fought the Law is as cool as any start of a song, period.
Agreed.
Like, I could listen to that over and over. And then the song actually begins like, okay. But that beginning part of a song just gets me every time.
Yeah, you're ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, so Mammoth with a tough loss last night. The Jazz, obviously, are now in postseason mode. And we look at the rest of the NBA, and I've always said that the NBA, like Utah is a Jazz town, but it's not necessarily an NBA town. I don't know if you would agree with that. I just don't know how much people are really dialed in on the NBA if the Jazz aren't involved in the postseason.
100%. I mean, we talked about it. If we're feeling that, then Joe Bag of Donuts is feeling it as well.
Yeah, Schmuckatelli's out there don't really care what's going on. But I do think we're in a kind of an interesting world there where that could just flip like that. And I know we joke about the number one pick, but if the NBA really wants to re-engage Salt Lake City and re-engage this fan base, they would make the draft go the Jazz way. And look, I'm not a conspiracy theorist guy, but there is so much like, all right, so Cleveland, you want to go all the way back to LeBron James. I mean, we could go all the way back to Patrick Ewing, but you want to go to LeBron James. There's no way Cleveland should have got that number one overall pick to draft LeBron James, but LeBron's from Cleveland. He goes to Cleveland, boom, easily done. Then LeBron leaves and goes to Miami, and boom, Cleveland not only wins the next number one pick, they win the next one after that. They win 2 consecutive number one picks.
Here.
After LeBron leaves to go to Miami to strengthen that market. You can go down the list of just all these weird things that happen with the NBA draft, and it never goes the Jazz way. And Ryan Smith, I think, said it very well. Sooner or later, the math is got to math. And this is the year where the math needs to math for the Utah Jazz. You have a player who played college, who played prep in the state of Utah, who chose to play in Utah. A kid that's got Utah ties, that has embraced the community. The community, well, at least half the community has embraced him. And the full community would embrace him in a Jazz uniform. And a guy that, by all accounts, would probably stay in Utah if given max money, which he would. It makes too much sense for the good of the league for A.J. DeBonsa to be a member of the Utah Jazz. Like, I don't care who we've got to bribe. I don't care what I've got to expense. Nate will sign off on this. If I have to use the P card to send, I don't know, whatever kind of bribes we need to anybody in the NBA, I am going to do it. Now, it won't be my money. It'll be the company's money. But, whatever we need to do as a company to make this happen.
I'm waiting
for we want to openly bribe? Be involved in bribing?
It's just the 3 of us.
Well, okay. I signed a couple documents last week that would say that it's not a good idea.
Oh, okay. Well, we can't endorse.
Suggest.
We can't
it's all how you say it.
It's not plugola, it's not payola. We're actually going to pay. No, never mind.
Draftola.
I don't know if that's part of the KSL bylaws, or we're not allowed to be doing that.
There's a lot of bylaws.
But Kurt did hit on something there. This is not a make or break for them to get that. I mean, the way this thing is constructed, and to be able to be in a position where it's a deep draft. So if what happens typically happens to them again, there's going to be some good players in the slots that they pick. But I'm with you. Math should math. Jake Scott's taken the approach of I'm just expecting
the worst.
The worst.
Yeah.
And I don't expect the worst, but I'm certainly not. I got my hopes up a little bit last year. I got caught up in the karma.
Oh, I did too.
Feeling like this has got to be different. It's the NBA. I guess you wait and see if it's got to be different.
I think you're right. And honestly, if there's 2 things that could be very bad for Utah Jazz fans, and there's 2 scenarios where I think Jazz fans would 1,000% be like, we're done. Number 1, if the Jazz fall to 8 or even 7 or 8, and I think Jazz fans would lose their minds over that, especially if that means Dallas moves up, even into the top 3 or 4. Like that's
there may be some remaining payments.
Yeah, and that's true. The other thing is if the Jazz drafted 5, but that means only one team leapfrogs them. But that's because Sacramento, after losing the coin toss, ends up getting the number 1 overall pick. That would probably be the biggest middle finger the NBA could give the Utah Jazz.
Take that. Reverse the flip.
You wanted that? Oh, you wanted to win that coin toss? Well, guess what?
Congrats.
That actually worked against you.
You thought you had that. That's cute.
You thought we gave you a gimme, and we took it from you. But, you're right. Look, the Jazz are on track. They're where they need to be in terms of progressing this franchise. the Jaren Jackson Jr. trade gets them exactly where the trajectory they need to be on. Whatever you get from this draft is the cherry on top. But, man, it would I see what's going on with the hockey team, and I just want to see Jazz fans be able to experience that.
Well, they're going to experience this next year, regardless of what pick. They could get 8, they could get 1. They will be having us out on the plaza next year on game days because the Jazz will be back in the playoffs. This roster's too well thought out. All assuming Walker Kessler's deal gets done. I mean, you've got some guys you can run with for a minute, and the size is what stands out to me. You are going to have to be dueling Oklahoma City and San Antonio to get to where you want to go. And so that size it's not a luxury, it's a necessity.
Yeah.
And they just kind of countered. They can go really big. Lowry at the 3, Walker, Jaren, positionally ace at the 2, and Keontae. I mean, that is a massive lineup. And Will's thinking the right thing. They're going to lean into defense this next year. It's going to be the thing. They'll actually have personnel that can execute the defense they want to play, and it's going to be all systems go. There will be a party on the plaza next year. The Jazz will be in the playoffs.
And not a play-in team.
No. They're going to be in the top 6.
I like it. Because, honestly, this Jazz fan base deserves that. They've been through hell. Now, I think they understand. I think they've been, and Ryan Smith mentioned this, I think Adam Silver needs to get off the ivory tower a little bit and realize that the fans are on board with what's going on. They understand that given the current circumstances, this is the only way you can have a championship contender is to do this. So Jazz fans were irate when their owner gets fined $500,000 for doing the same thing everybody else has. If Jazz fans were upset, they'd be like, yes, Adam, fine him more. We need a winner here. We need this team to be respectable. No, they're like, no, we understand this is how it has to be. We don't like it, but we understand that's the only path this organization really has going forward. I like how Pat Riley yesterday, or I think 2 days ago, had a press conference and was talking about I'm not going anywhere. I still love running an NBA team. And by the way, we might have to rebuild some pieces here at Miami, but we'll never tank. Oh, really? Oh, okay. You mean a team in Miami doesn't have to tank? Why is that? Because you're one of the very few destination locations in the NBA. You, LA, and New York are the 3 places that probably don't really have to do that because you can acquire free agents who want to come to your cities. Everybody else has to do this.
Yeah, it's a flawed system, and it's not one, I know the reform is a big thing, but, we see it with NIL. Every reform is made in anything.
Somebody will cheat.
Somebody will find a way to, in their mind, justify. To them, it's not cheating. It's like, hey, I studied the rule, and you can technically, a number of people I ran into in the college coaching world. But at the end of the day, it is. But that's where people go. I mean, it's just like NIL the first few years talking about, hey, we'll give them $5,000 for coming out and shaking hands at the pizza parlor. And now we're talking about salaries in college football going up to $100 million. I mean, people don't mess around. When the gates open, they go as far as they can go.
Yeah. All right, coming up in about 15 minutes, we'll kick off your 1 o'clock hour. Bill Armstrong won't join us at 1. He will actually join us at 1:30. But we got a lot to break down, continuing on with the NHL, the NBA, and more. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
The biggest name.
You're locked on to Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. All right, folks. You and I are going to be out on the road coming up here at the Next Gen Motors grand opening. Your guy coming up at their new location in Linden, 590 North State Street. We will be there on Friday, again, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
That is, it's my cousin. Grew up on the same, they used to call it parcel. You know that, that term. Same parcel of property in Highland, one of the first few families out there. And, yeah, awesome. I actually worked for Next Gen for 1 year, just helping him stand up a couple of businesses. But they just purchased the old Low Book Sales in Linden. And so it's a new grand opening of a new location.
Nice. Be fun to get out there.
Yeah.
Have a good time. All right. So, again, we'll be out there on Friday. So make sure to stop by and say hi. We don't get a chance to get down to Utah County very often. So we will be live in Linden coming up, again, Friday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. All right. The gambling thing has gotten, and I wanted to touch on this. I had it as the ugly earlier in the show, but the NBA, I think, has got themselves in a bit of an issue here, as you got Damon Jones. He's the first to plead guilty in that gambling case that involves a bunch of other players and a bunch of other coaches as well. But when Damon Jones gets out in front and says, "I'd like to sincerely apologize to the court, my family, my peers, and also the National Basketball Association," and acknowledging that he conspired with others to defraud sports betting companies by using insider information that was obtained as a result of his relationships as a former player and as a coach. Doesn't this scream to you that, honestly, that he was, that he's the first to flip?
Oh, 100%.
Maybe I've watched too many movies, but this looks like a guy that's going state evidence pretty quick.
No, to me, it totally does. And, it's unfortunate. I mean, we talked about it yesterday with Sorsby. It's these guys, we're talking about guys that have played in the NBA, gone through it, now coaching, in a position of trust. And all that goes by the wayside for this addiction. I mean, it's really what it is. You get yourself in a really, really bad way, and you may start making bad decisions to cover up things, and all of a sudden the FBI is knocking on your door. The NBA has a huge issue, and the smokescreen of tanking and everything else. There is no bigger issue, and as you said, it's such a conflict of interest, because the very thing that you're having a major issue with across sports is also providing a ton of money in advertising and dollars to these leagues. And so, it's the perfect example that, but they're giving us a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I don't know that the money's worth the issues that are being caused. I'm with you. This is, to me, it seems like the tip of the iceberg.
There's a few podcasts, a lot of people, some people that I know in the media that I admire their work. And, Andy Staples is one of those. He's a football guy. And I've gotten to know Andy a little bit throughout the years covering different events. And he does a podcast now, and it's a video cast, and it's very strictly football driven. But on his podcast yesterday, he had the Brandon Sorsby thing, and there's a screenshot of him and his guest talking about Brandon Sorsby, and it says Sorsby gambling addiction. And then in the bottom right is a bug that says FanDuel, because that's a presenting sponsor of his podcast. And look, when you take that money, and we're all about cashing checks, trust me, I'm right there with you. But you also understand that it puts you in a pretty precarious situation when that sponsor can also be part of the news story involved. And look, we're part of a ownership group here that could, frankly, has turned down a significant amount of money from those organizations to advertise on our station because they don't want to get caught up in that. And sometimes you're like, well, hey, we'd like to put a little extra dollars on the old pocketbook for the station. But in reality, it does put you in a bad spot when there's stories like this that you have to talk about. And then you go to break, and the first thing is, first spot out of the break is, hey, you know what? For your first $50, we'll match it $3. And, your first winning bet, we'll triple. It's like, like the old line from Tombstone, our hypocrisy knows no bounds.
Yeah, use the promo code Rozier. Yeah. It's like the whole thing that it's almost, the irony is beyond even understanding. And that's why, PK says it all the time, follow the money.
Yeah.
That's what's driving this. And it's going to take, a major adult in the room. People way back when I was a kid, Times Square was a place you never went. It was the most crime-ridden.
Oh, yeah.
But new leadership came. They were able to clean up Times Square, mostly, right?
Yeah.
There's still going to be little rogue things. But much to that way, it's going to take someone come in with different ideas about how this needs to get done. And all you have to look and see is this has now affected players. It's now affected staff members and organizations. It's got into coaches now. I mean, the bottom line is it knows no bounds. And anybody that's involved with it will have the temptation. And what we're learning is sometimes that is a very tough thing, for whatever reason, for people to not do. But the intertwining of it doesn't make sense. And your story is right on the money. The story of Sorsby with an ad for FanDuel right there. Somehow, some way, these have to be taken away from one another and put back in different spots. They're overlapping too much.
You remember when Rick Neuheisel, essentially, now granted they wanted him out, but Washington fires Rick Neuheisel for essentially having an NCAA tournament bracket contest in his office. And they're like, no, and he loses his job over it. And now we're like, hey, you know what? This injury report brought to you by FanDuel here at the University of Washington. It's like, wait a minute, our going from 0 to 60 in this overnight has just been, the whiplash has been crazy.
Yeah, but same with NIL. Again,
oh, yeah.
You open, and that's what's scary about this, though, is now that they've lived with all this money, and I'm guaranteeing you the money is stupid for them to go through all this, right? For them to, it's nearly impossible to then go, you know what, we're not gonna do that anymore, and all that money is we're just not gonna do it. I mean, it takes really somebody responsible, mature, the adult in the room. But at the end of the day, that's the story of life. It's always been about getting an advantage, having an upper hand.
Well, I go back to, honestly, when it comes to the money, somebody's got to convince a lot of people that, okay, we're going to tell you to go backwards in short term because in long term it's going to be beneficial. We've referenced the Dallas Cowboy documentary on Jerry Jones on the show a lot. Jerry Jones had his local media rights. He didn't want to share it with anybody. And Pete Rozelle, the commissioner of the NFL, said, hey, look, I understand we're asking you to give up a little bit of money. We're asking you to go backwards a little bit. But trust me, if we are collectively able to negotiate our national TV rights, it's going to benefit everybody. I know it's revenue sharing. You are Dallas. You don't want to share with Green Bay. I totally understand that. But just trust me on this one. It's going to be better for all of us long term, you included. And sure enough, he got Jerry Jones to buy in. And look, the NFL is printing money now because of its collective bargaining ability to sell its own TV rights instead of having everybody have their own individual rights locally. Sure, Dallas would be just fine there, but Green Bay wouldn't. But yet now you get presented an entire league, and now everybody's making boatloads of cash.
Yeah, and again, that's the end game. I mean, the commissioner wants to make a bunch of money, and the presidents of the organizations, the owners want to make a bunch of money, the players want to make a bunch of money. And so as the league thinks about it, they're thinking, well, this is a ton of money, and we can share it all. But, yeah, it definitely pays bills, but it's definitely leaving a lot of invoices, too.
Yeah.
Major invoices that in some cases can't be paid.
Well, yeah, because it's just public perception. I mean, we talk about the NBA and its public perception. I could go down State Street right now and say, you're a Jazz fan, yeah. Do you think the NBA is rigged? 100%. 80% of Jazz fans think it's a byproduct of WWE. Now it's, not, but yet perception's reality.
Perception is, and there are just so many weird anomalies like you talked about with Cleveland and the Dallas-Los Angeles thing and all the rumblings around. Yeah, so if it's not, then be that much more vigilant to prove it's not instead of making decisions like this that make you wonder, what is the purpose of all this?
And back to my previous point, if you want to convince people it's not rigged, rig it in favor of the Utah Jazz. And then you'd be like, look, it's not rigged. We gave Utah
We would sit
one.
here and just sing their praise. The NBA is so terrific.
Yes, it's awesome. I mean, look, the Jazz got the number 1 overall pick. How great is that? That shows you just how unbiased and unrigged, if that's a word, the NBA is.
And I understand Adam sleeps in a crypt, and it's always been weird, but I I like him.
He's got a little Crypt Keeper vibe to him. That old Tales from the Crypt. Yeah.
Oh, he's up.
He starts laughing. Underrated show, by the way.
See, I see more Men in Black, and the little creature comes out of the guy's ear.
Oh,
that's a good call, too.
Yeah. How about Total Recall and that guy coming out of the dude's gut? Quado, yeah.
Quado.
Oh, man.
We take some deep dives on this show.
Yeah, we do. Always have.
Always will.
Quado. All right, 1 o'clock straight up. Bill Armstrong in 30 minutes. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The Jazz, the Mammoth, and the Utes, Cougars, and Aggies. When it comes to sports in Utah, we've got you covered. This is Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. All right, so as a guy that recruited, knew the college world intimately.
Not that intimately.
Well, yeah, you know what I mean.
That can be taken a different way in college basketball.
Yeah, I know.
I'll leave it there.
Enough said. So when you're looking at the this 5 for 5 thing that I think is going to happen, it's just a matter of how they're going to implement it. So the Division I Board of Directors directed the Division I Cabinet to advance an age-based eligibility concept that, if adapted in its current form, would permit students up to 5 years of eligibility, beginning with the academic year after they turn 19 or graduate from high school, whichever happens earlier. Students would then not be limited to 4 seasons of competition, but they would have 5 to play 5. Now, there'd be no injury waivers. There'd be none of that other stuff going on. It's like, look, you got 5 years, you can play 5 years. You got 5 years to play 5. After that 5, you're done. None of this 7-8 year nonsense. We're going to give you an extra year to be able to play your game. But after that, that's it. And I know a lot of coaches are in favor of this in theory. But the problem is, if this passes, you're going to have somebody like, look, I'll use Utah State, for example. You got a guy that, like Mason Falslev, who is currently at Utah State playing his senior year. He would be given another year. And that's another year of revenue-generating material because he took a redshirt year, but he also would have an extra year of eligibility because he would have 5 years of eligibility allowed to him. But then you would have a guy like, let's say, MJ Collins or, these guys that ran out of eligibility this past season. They're like, no, we're starting it now. So you guys, you're SOL. But if you're currently in school and you currently have eligibility, you get to add another year to that. Well, that just means that those guys that are screwed over are going to be like, okay, well, I'm going to lawyer up because I want to get my year. How come they get a year, but I don't get a year just because of the year I was born? That doesn't seem right to me. Because my eligibility's done, I deserve that extra year. Well, then you're going to have, let's say they sue and win. Then you're going to have the guys that were 2 or 3 years ago like, well, I want my extra year. Why don't I get my extra year? And now you just see the dominoes of lawsuits that are just going to follow one after the other, and injunctions. And ultimately, it's just the guys making the billable hours that end up winning this thing. But in theory, let's forget about all how you implement it. Do you like the 5 for 5?
Yeah, I like it. But again, it's how it's rolled out. If they decide to do it and, basically grandfather everybody in or make exceptions as they always do with some and not others, the problem is most guys have their roster pretty much done. And, there would be all of a sudden all this new commodities on the market that weren't on the market when you filled your team. Contracts have been signed and sent out. And so it would be chaos. So however they do it, I hope they just settle on something. And, the NCAA the last few years has been missing in action. I don't know if they threw a thing on the outside of that big building in Indianapolis has gone fishing. But, the crazy part, too, as a part of this proposal, I was reading that they they really intend to jump into tampering because it's been such a huge issue. And I like this wording. The school would need to demonstrate the violation did not occur to avoid penalties. So, you flip the guilty till proven innocent thing on its head, and or innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah, it's the opposite
of that. It's the opposite of that. And that's how the NCAA always has been. That's why they follow people around and, go to people's stores and say, was a purchase made on this day? They're like, they're Paul Blart. NCAA, they ride segways and enforce the law in a very, very inconsistent and unfortunate manner.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you would know more than anybody on that one.
Hold it, sir. I paid for this. That guy over there, he just stole half the... I'm sorry, I'm focused on you, sir. That's the NCAA.
Yeah. And honestly, what they did to Dave Rose is unforgivable, honestly.
Yeah, but go down the list. I mean, it's like Tark always said, North Carolina makes a mistake, Long Beach State gets slapped.
Yeah. They're so mad at Alabama that Georgia State just got dinged.
Hey, maybe the NBA is just following the college law.
That's a good point.
Slap the little guy.
But, I think you bring up a good point, and I think it was some coach who mentioned this, that, I've already spent my NLI money.
Right.
I'm out. I had my money, I spent it, it's all allocated. So imagine if this goes through and they allow guys that just lost their year of lost eligibility to get another year. Let's just say Richie Saunders goes back to BYU and hey guys, guess what? I get to go. I want my $5 million. And they're like, yeah, I don't have your money because we didn't think you were going to be here. I know, but I'm back, so let's go. I want to make some money, which I would if I were him.
Somebody call the cookie guy.
Yeah, we're going to need to sell some more of those sugar cookies because we got to make some money.
Storming? Oh, no, we just need some money. Whatever you need.
Whatever you need.
I write it in frosting.
Yeah.
My frosting pen.
We'll come back on the cream cheese filling for a little bit. We'll find a way to make it work. But honestly, there's a lot of schools that would find a way to make it work. BYU, I'm sure would, but there's a lot of other schools that would be like, hey, man, we would love to have you back, but we've got no more. Like Utah State, MJ Collins, hey, guess what? I just won you an NCAA tournament game. I scored 20 against Villanova, and I'm back. So
somebody's got to go.
Pay that man his money.
Well, I lived that. We weren't talking about NIL and money, but we were at that point, the scholarship spot was, about as good as you could get at BYU. Mm-hmm. There wasn't any extra benefits. But there were times where a guy would say, I'm going to go on a mission.
Oh, yeah.
And then he'd get into the summer and I don't think I'm going to go now.
Yeah, that girlfriend and I, she wants me to stay, so I'm going to stay.
Or many other reasons, but that was always a big one. But then, you've gone out and got guys in the fall to accept those positions.
Yeah.
And so you've got a real issue on your hand because that guy's coming back. He's your guy, but the plan changed and you got to figure it out. We dealt with that a few times.
Or even a guy that is out on a mission for a year and decides, you know what, I'm not feeling this, and I want to come back home but I'm ready to play. Yeah, that's the other thing too. I'm sure that there would be the wording on this. You have 5 years after you graduate high school or turn 19, and I'm sure that there would be some waiver in there for an LDS mission or church service or military service or something along those lines. You're not going to lose 2 years of eligibility because you went on a mission. Obviously, that's not going to be the case. I know some people were kicking that up yesterday. NCAA, for all of its issues, has been pretty good in terms of working around missionary service.
Yeah, and always will.
Yeah.
They understand what that is. I think it's a good system. I think, losing that year of traditional red shirt, but gaining on the job experience, being able to get that extra year of playing if you can stay healthy. And the way injuries happen too, it's an opportunity to make sure you get, those 5 years to play, at least 4 of them. And, I think if they can pass it and they can make sense of the way they release it, then I think it'll be all right.
And it comes back to the implementation, though. And the problem is, I think the NCAA realizes, all right, we screwed up. We could have modernized what we were doing a long time ago, but we stuck our heads in the sand and we screwed up. I think Charlie Baker absolutely knows the NCAA just completely dropped the ball over the last 25 years. And so I think deep down they're like, we want to modernize this. We want to make this work. But the problem is you're so far along in the process now, there's no equitable way to make it happen. Because whatever you do, you're going to tick off somebody. And that somebody out there is going to have 10 lawyers calling them up like, did you see what the NCAA did to you? I'll take it on right now. Let's go. And so you got lawyers smelling blood in the water. And so there's really no way to find a way to get that reset. Like you want to, like when you're playing the old NES back in the day and you're upset and you're like, all right, I'm losing Tecmo Bowl. I'm going to hit reset before the game ends so that it'll start all over again. You don't get to do that with the NCAA. Like they would love nothing more than like, all right, we just want to burn it all down and pretend nothing in the past happened and start right now. But obviously you can't do that. So there's no way to find a way to make that work.
Yes, it's a huge issue, and you mentioned one of the biggest things that causes the slowdowns is the litigious nature of it all.
Yeah,
I mean, you offend one, you offend many, because everybody kind of sees how the NCAA handles something, and then they try to streamline their argument the same way, and people get through hurdles that way. So, yeah, it's going to take some thought as to how to release it, but the time is now. They got to figure out a way to more. I guess meet the needs of everybody involved. Right now, it just seems like it's a free-for-all, and there's no loyalty. It's impossible to build teams. I mean, that's not the way this was all set out in the beginning.
All right, so I'm always curious to know. So, would the NCAA would they make like yearly visits? Like, what was the interaction like on not a day-to-day basis, but just overall with the NCAA in terms of dealing with them as a coach?
We dealt with them very little. I mean, honestly, if the NCAA was involved, it wasn't good.
So no news is good news.
Yeah, and honestly, you do all of this stuff you do, all of the permissions and all of the, everything that you intend to do with a recruit. Like on a recruiting visit, you literally submit the visit itself and where you're having dinner and how far you're going to travel, and all that has to be mapped out, and you give that to your compliance officer. The compliance officer really at the university serves as the liaison between the school and the NCAA, and that's the way you want it. If there are issues, then they start to poke around.
So the compliance guy is the bad cop at the university?
Some people see it that way. To me, it was like get to know that person inside and out, find out, the best way to approach, because they have all the knowledge. We have a base knowledge, but they're into the details. So I tried to spend a lot of time in compliance office because you want to understand the rules. You don't want to shortchange yourself, and you also don't want to overstep your bounds.
It's like getting in good with the equipment guy.
Yeah, that is a must at every place.
Yeah. People don't understand. The one guy that has probably the best job in an athletic department is the equipment manager, because everybody's kissing up to him.
Yeah, they have the keys to that closet everybody wants to get into.
Yeah, and maybe while you're getting to know the compliance officer, maybe you can find some dirty laundry to hold against the compliance
don't think
officer.
I didn't do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got a whole file on Chad Gwilliam.
Yeah, okay.
Watching you, Gwilly.
Oh, man. I've been around coaches that just absolutely just curse their compliance guy. And then other guys like, hey, no, this dude saved our bacon.
He saved our bacon. He was great.
Yeah.
He was great. We used him as a resource, not as a, somebody to. Now, I'm that way with the NCAA, but he takes all the heat. I can put him. He's forward facing, as they say.
So I'm sure you've sat down and been interviewed by the NCAA, or have you had to go? Oh, okay.
Nope.
I'm always curious to know what those are like. Is it just like some pencil pushing nerd? Like, oh, so you bought him donuts?
A bright light.
You're like, so where? I see this receipt for a Dr. Pepper. Are you sure that you also didn't buy a hot dog to go along with that and didn't report? Like, I could just see these dudes just being like the worst of the worst.
Okay, how much pastrami is on a Crown Burger? Because I need to go back to that date and see market rate for pastrami.
Because I think he may have gotten two more ounces.
Undercharged, and so that was an unlawful violation on your part for accepting that much roast beef. That's as stupid as it gets.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's your reality. That's what you guys were dealing with. The old Rick Majerus buying kid breakfast or buying donuts or at a film thing. It's like ridiculous.
Yeah, and PK was breaking all those stories.
Which Rick loved, I'm sure.
He hated him so bad. I've told PK this, but he would just, you see that guy from New Jersey, he got those big
from New Jersey,
those big glasses. He was rivaling Harry Carey back in the day.
Oh, PK was rocking the big spectacles?
Yeah, he needed to get some windshield wipers on bad boys.
Me and PK, this was one of the first things, the first endorsements I ever did was LASIK. This is like back in 2007, 2008.
I was jealous. It's like, I can't afford it. I want to get it.
I got LASIK done, and PK got it done, and they wanted to do DJ, but DJ's like, no way. Like DJ wanted no part of that because he's like, one bad little nick and then you're blind. I'm like,
laser.
Yeah, laser beams.
Can't see the teleprompter. What am I doing?
I got to be able to read that thing.
Got to be able to read.
I'm going to look for an old photo. I swear his glasses were bigger than they needed to be.
I could see that. Look, those newspaper guys, now he's evolved out of that, and now he's,
Dude, I'm telling you, though, what a good dude.
Oh, he's the best.
He's misunderstood, but his shtick is
Who are we talking about?
PK.
Oh.
Don't you feel like he's a good guy?
Well, yeah.
Okay. I'm just making sure I'm not in the...
No. I think Patrick Kinahan is genuinely one of the best dudes that I've worked with. And people, I tell people that all the time, and I almost feel bad saying it because I'm like, I don't want people to know that, he's actually a pretty genuinely good human being because people want to not like him. But behind the scenes, the guy's actually a really good dude. The guy you got to watch out for is DJ. Like DJ's, everybody thinks he's the nice guy. DJ will ground you into powder and just go like Kaiser Sosa. Like,
I feel like I'm in the hot seat every time I'm with him.
With DJ or PK?
With DJ.
Yeah.
Just firing questions at me. And they're very extensive, Are you, happy that the Mammoth fought so hard and came back?
With DJ, you have to be like, where are you coming from?
Are you B, mystified at how that happened? Or C, all of the above?
He and I do a Utah State podcast every week, and we had the athletic director on yesterday. And he was grilling the AD, and I could see he was like, "Ooh, my guy's getting after me here. This is not your normal Scotty G interview where I'm just lobbing softballs at the guy for 20 minutes." DJ was coming in with
I thought I was on the flagship station.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom.
Where were you?
Hey, I just did it. I'm trying to find a picture of Patrick, but did you guys know that there is such a thing as a Kinahan cartel in Ireland?
Oh,
and this
wow.
guy happens to look like he could be related to our guy. So I think we should speak lightly of Sir PK. He may be in the witness protection.
Well,
program.
look, the guy had mob ties in New Jersey. And,
that could be Uncle Buck
right there.
right
there. Absolutely.
This is eerie.
All right. Coming up next, he is the general manager of the Utah Mammoth. It is Bill Armstrong next, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
I sold my car in Carvana last night.
Well, that's cool.
No, you don't understand. It went perfectly. Real offer, down to the penny. They're picking it up tomorrow. Nothing went wrong.
So, what's the problem?
That is the problem. Nothing in my life goes as smoothly. I'm waiting for the catch.
Maybe there's no catch.
That's exactly what a catch would want me to think.
Wow, you need to relax.
I need to knock on wood. Do we have wood? Is this table wood?
I think it's laminate.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's close enough.
Car selling without a catch. Sell your car today on
Carvana.
Pickup fees may apply.
RingCentral's AI receptionist uses voice AI to answer on the first ring, so you'll never miss a call again. In just a few minutes, you can personalize your own AI receptionist to answer questions, route calls, schedule appointments, and even send texts in multiple languages. Plus, it's easy to scale. Create unlimited AI receptionists across any phone system. It's all powered by one reliable platform for effortless AI communications. See for yourself at ringcentral.com. RingCentral, voice of your business.
You're locked on to Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb. Presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Time for our weekly conversation with the general manager of the Utah Mammoth, Bill Armstrong.
It's time to hear from the general manager of the Utah Mammoth, Bill Armstrong on your exclusive home of the Utah Mammoth, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
So, Bill, I'm having a hard time. You know, we're technically in the media, so we're not supposed to have biases, but I'm all in on your team. I loved watching what you guys have done. So I think I represent a lot of fans out there that we're all recovering from a bit of a gut check from last night. So how do you process what happened last night, and how do you get back into a groove and make sure that you can put that behind you?
Well, you got to stay even keel in this up and down, playoff full of emotions. And, it's for us on this side, you can't get too up, too down. And that's the old cliche, but it's true. Try to just always remember that you weren't as good as you thought you were in the win, and you weren't as bad as you thought you were in the loss. And then, we go to work the next day, get up and go to work the same way every day and just attack it. It's for us on this side, it's, hey, listen, we knew Vegas a tough team. They're a good team. They're not rolling over. So, it's a punch in the face competition. And, last night we didn't get to everything that we wanted out of that game. I love the way that we fought back in that game, and we didn't roll over.
What do you feel like the key, Bill, was to that comeback? Was it just having something go right and then building off that momentum, or did you see something major league change?
Well, that's a little bit of maturity on our players. A few years ago, we wouldn't have been able to do that, and stay with it. We would have got all frustrated and taken dumb penalties and done all those little bad things, but, the maturity of our players, the leaders that we have on our team, keep us focused and keep us going the right way in those tough times. And everybody's just like one shift at a time. We're going to find a way to score. Let's get her going. And they were good. The group stuck together. They never, they found ways to score, different ways to score, and just kind of fed off the momentum of the crowd. It was just crazy there last night. As soon as the first goal went in, I felt like we were going to score a whole bunch more, because just it's incredible at the Delta Center. I mean, it just the fan base there with the towels and the music, and it gets pumping and we get rolling. It just gave us so much energy to fight back last night. So hats off to our fan base. It was incredible. Maybe the best in the NHL. I know it's the loudest, that's for sure.
Well, there's no doubt. And the environment for games 3 and 4 were just incredible, just off the charts. And you knew it was going to be that way. But when you see your team show that resiliency to come back from down 0-3, you take the lead 4-3. Is it sometimes as a young player learning how to, because we talk about dealing with adversity, but also dealing with prosperity and learning how to finish off a game when you fought back and took the lead instead of giving up that late goal?
Oh, there's a lot of learning last night, that's for sure. I think, when you're in those moments of the grind, and sometimes it feels like you're losing, or you take the lead and all of a sudden you're not used to playing with the lead in that game. There's a whole bunch of learning in there for sure. And I think our team kind of adapts as we move forward. We've got a lot of good leadership, and, there's about 50% of our team that's got real good playoff experience. They help us kind of navigate those moments. But I like their team, it didn't end the way we wanted, but the fight was there and they played the right way. And we'll always live with our team when we play hard. We play the right way, good things will happen. And if a mistake happens, we'll live with that all day long.
One of the things I find interesting is, coaching for 23 years, you get caught up in the moment some, and it's really good to have vision, and be able to stay even keel, like you said. Yeah. In this moment, this is a hard fought series, and one that, the greedy part of us all, we want to win this thing and play more hockey. At the same time, how valuable is this experience for these young guys to go through?
Well, it's huge for our team to kind of get in there. And, we've got a lot of guys like Simashev and Bood, and, we bring in some of our kind of our high-end prospects to watch some of the games that we play too. So it's hugely valuable just to get into. We're forming a culture, and that's what it's about when you're here in Utah. You're going to fight to the end. You're going to fight for everything. And as we start to move through these playoffs for the first time, the culture even becomes stronger, and we try to make sure all our young guys are watching it too, just to see the fan base go crazy in that building and playing the right way in those big moments in playoffs. It helps. It's a lot of learning, but it's a lot of growth. And at the end of the day, we want to be a team that's in it every single year, swinging for the fences and trying to win a cup.
Did you immediately catch the offsides, or were you like everybody else? We're like, oh, wait a minute, we got to go back and look at this.
I was like, we have in the GM box, we have a TV, and we have somebody reading the plays, and they'll say, like, listen, good goal, and then you're okay, well, it's a good goal. They've checked the offside. They've checked the goalie interference. They can't see anything. It came up good goal. So I was halfway out the door. And they're like, whoa, there's a different angle on this one. I think it's offside. I was like, wow, we get a second life here. So that was pretty unbelievable. We were able to get the offside and challenge it and go back to work. But we got a second chance at life there last night.
What do your eyes tell you about the things that you probably need to deal with the most to win the series?
Well, for us is keep making adjustments, small little adjustments. We pounded them pretty good with our physicality last night. We put a lot of pressure on their D. We got a lot of turnovers. It felt like we did a lot of good things. We could score some goals. I think some of the stuff that we have to make sure we do better is move the puck better, be more effective at getting up the ice and make clean plays coming out. So it's tic-tac-toe, moving up that ice. Our bread and butter is off the rush, the speed of Logan Cooley and Keller and Smoltz. And if we don't move the puck clean coming out of our zone, we got a hard time building our speed through the neutral zone. So those are probably some of the key aspects we got to kind of focus on and improve on to go into Vegas and kick some butt here.
I know you weren't able to turn it into a goal. It almost looked like Logan was going to be able to get a goal off of it. But to me, the microcosm of who your team is right now was that Carcone hit in overtime that stole a possession. And I know you gave up kind of a fast break going the other way, and that was the goal that was waved off because of the offsides. But that just, to me, was like that's who the Mammoth are, man, just laying it all out and trying to create as much havoc as possible.
There's a couple shifts where we got kind of pinned in our zone, and the difference is in playoffs than regular season is everybody's laying out trying to block shots, and they're doing whatever it takes to get the puck just out on the other side of that blue line. And, there was like 4 or 5 times our guys were just sprawled out, just trying to block anything they could, trying to chip it out, find a way, in desperation mode to get that puck on the other side of the line. So, that's the greatest part of our team is that the first, the second, and the third efforts and the will to kind of, put yourself in harm's way for each other it's been impressive. They're an unbelievable group and only getting better.
With majority of the play in the series, like I saw number 45% in the offensive zone for the Knights. Veggie's done a really good job with a ton of volume. It looks like from a layman's perspective, but comment on your thoughts on how Veggie's playing in the series.
Well, they do a pretty good job of pinning us a lot of times in our zone, just the way that they play. I think they don't get a lot of offense off it. They just accumulate a lot of time in your zone. So you just really have to kind of be patient and use your energy wisely and find ways to get a hold of the puck. But, Veggie's done a great job. He's made some huge saves for us. He's been a difference maker on the penalty kill too. So you're not winning without good goaltending. Show me a good coach, I'll show you a good goaltender.
And you mentioned the penalty kill. You guys have been, I think at 11% in terms of a power play, but penalty kill after giving up that early one in the in game 2, you guys I think have killed the next 11 in a row. So you've got one side where you're just performing at a really high level, and then the other side that needs to pick it up a bit.
Yeah, and it's we missed a wide open net there. Michael Carcone had a chance at greatness there early on, and in the first, you get that goal, you're at 20% on the power play, so you're, there's just a few things that haven't kind of clicked for us, but we got to go back and be better. You're not winning a playoff series unless you're good on the PP and PK, and we got to be better on the power play, and so. We had great chances, but they were one and done, and we've got to find ways to kind of have more of a play that you're in their zone more often, you're occupying their offensive zone, and you're not, going down the ice and having to break it out 5 times in the power play. So I think there's some adjustments there we can make to become a better team on the power play. But I like our overall game. Like I said, it's a pretty close series. It's a punch in the face competition. It's a physical competition out there. It's been great. I mean, you got to respect them. They're a good team, and so are we. And it's going to be unbelievable going into Vegas here and see if we can steal a win out of there.
So after all of the drama, the roller coaster you've been on, it's essentially 0-0 and a best-of-3 series. What's the message to these guys, or do you even need to say anything to these guys? It's just they know the enormity of the situation they're in.
Well, you don't teach a baby shark how to bite. They just know how to bite, and our guys know they know the situation pretty well. They're pretty aware we got to go in there and play our best hockey of the year. And they know Vegas is going to come and try and punch us in the face. So it's certainly at this time of the year. Coaches have their mantras and everything they talk about, but our players know this is where you want to play. These are the big moments. We play 82 games a year. To get into this spot, to play, and these are the big moments. Play your best hockey at this time of the year, and it's. I think our players. I think the other thing about it, they've wanted to be in this situation so long. I think they've actually enjoyed our fan base and just playing in playoffs in front of our home crowd and being in this tight series. It's been a fun experience for our group.
So when I ask you this isn't trying to rub salt in the wound. I'm just trying to learn more about the sport and about, differing styles. Had you gotten to 3-on-3 with your speed, do you think you would have had the advantage in that second overtime?
Yeah, for sure. 100%. They wouldn't. I don't think they're going to touch us on the 3-on-3. It's a different game in playoffs. It's 5-on-5, and you have to play a certain way. And it definitely is a different game. But 3-on-3, we ended almost every 3-on-3 in our favor during the course of the year. We're pretty fast team that has some impact 3-on-3, and it happens pretty quick for us too. So would have loved to see them go 3-on-3. It's a suggestion you might want to put in the commissioner's box.
So when you and again, I know that I know your answer to this probably, but I feel like I have to ask. It felt like Hayton's getting close. McBain, we're not sure of. Any updates you can provide on those guys?
Well, they're all getting close. This time of the year, you never know. It's day to day. They're everybody's skating. Everybody's getting close to playing. So we'll see for the next game what we do in Vegas. But that's good news for us because you never know. It's a violent, physical series out there. So you never know when someone's going down, and our boys are close to coming back here.
We have a show favorite, and it's Yamamoto.
Yes.
By the way, he's our guy. The pass he threw last night, he wristed that thing across. The dude's incredible. He makes plays all the time.
Yeah, I loved how physical he was for his size and the amount of force that he has impact with on his hits. He's been unbelievable. He's probably one of the team favorite guys. Everybody loves him just because he plays with such energy and such intensity, and he plays hard. I think he had 8 or 9 hits last night, and he was an impact player for us.
Well, it's interesting because I've got my 14-year-old son, and he's he wants a jersey, but he doesn't want to be like he doesn't want to be the guy that wears the Tom Brady jersey. Like he doesn't want the Cooley jersey because he wants more of a guy that shows he knows about the team. It's real easy to get the Cooley or the Gunther jersey, and so he's like, I think I want to go Yamamoto, and I'm like, well, let's wait till our guy Bill figures out what he wants to do in the offseason, then we'll decide whether we're going to make that investment or not.
That's good. You never know. I've walked into some rinks and I've traded a few of the guys, and you see their jersey and you're like, oh geez. It's a terrible feeling as a GM. I traded that guy. So
anyway, no pressure there, Bill. Hey, we appreciate it though. Thanks for your time. Go get that go get that game 5, and let's get it back here to Salt Lake for Friday.
Yeah, I appreciate your support, boys. Great talking to you.
You got it. There he is, Bill Armstrong, general manager of the Utah Mammoth.
Great guy. I love his chuckle.
Yeah, I know. He's the best.
And he, is as competitive and as bad as he wants to win. He understands that there is a lot of really good things happening right now development-wise, and then a ton of dudes in the hopper ready to come in and add to what's already happening. But the biggest piece, they're making they're building a culture, and it's awesome when you go to the playoffs while you're still getting that culture instilled, and I love how hard they play.
All right, we'll take a final break, come back, wrap things up, set the stage for Jake and Ben coming up next right here on The Zone.
I sold my car in Carvana last night.
Well, that's cool.
No, you don't understand. It went perfectly. Real offer, down to the penny. They're picking it up tomorrow. Nothing went wrong.
So, what's the problem?
That is the problem. Nothing in my life goes as smoothly. I'm waiting for the catch.
Maybe there's no catch.
That's exactly what a catch would want me to think.
Wow, you need to relax.
I need to knock on wood. Do we have wood? Is this table wood?
I think it's laminate.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's close enough.
Car selling without a catch. Sell your car today on
Carvana.
Pickup fees may apply.
The Jazz, the Mammoth, and the Utes, Cougars, and Aggies. When it comes to sports in Utah, we've got you covered. This is Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaComb, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Nice. Little free bird as we shut down the show for a Tuesday. Scott Garrard alongside the coach, Tim LaComb. This is a good way to send us off here.
Dave Rowe's favorite song.
Really? I could see that.
If it was on, it was like, nope, bar the talking.
Everybody shut down.
Turn it up and
be
let
quiet.
me listen.
And then we get back to business. But it's a long song,
This
too.
needs to become a thing.
Yeah. All right. Big thanks to everyone who helped us out. Bill Armstrong, not easy, but that's the thing I love about Bill. Win, lose, that dude is even kill. He's always happy to come on. He's always happy to laugh and say, all right, yep, you know what? That one got away from us. That's all right. We still have Game 5, and we'll have Game 6. So you got essentially a game tomorrow and then a game on Friday, and hopefully the Mammoth can go 2-0 and punch their ticket into the next round.
Man, can you imagine? Second round of the NHL playoffs.
Especially if you're playing Anaheim, too.
Right? You might just find yourself in the Western Conference Finals without even knowing it.
Jeez.
But a lot of things have to happen before that.
Yeah, it would have been very, very nice to get that third win last night.
90% chance of winning the series if it went there.
Yeah. All right. So, by the way, you and I and Lloyd all had the Mammoth winning. I was getting pretty fired up though.
Yeah, it was looking good for you
because it was 4-3, and that's the score I had, and had the Mammoth just been able to hang on, I'd be puffing out my chest pretty good today.
I would say you were the closest though. I mean, I called the OT, but the wrong way. I don't know why I felt OT yesterday. I just did.
But you were spot on that one. Lloyd was way off on everything.
Well, had they not scored those first 3 goals, it'd been looking good, 4-0.
Lloyd had it 4-1 Mammoth. I had it 4-3 in regulation. Coach had it 3-2 Mammoth in OT. And tomorrow we'll give you our thoughts on what's going to happen in Vegas.
Car crash.
I
think they can win, though.
I absolutely think they can.
I got some confidence listening to Jay talking about past matchups, the fact that we shut them out down there. But the playoffs, man, you got to just go do it.
And Bill seemed genuinely in some good vibes there. I know you got to put on a good face for your team. Like they feed off your team feeds off your coach and your GM. If they're sulking, if they're kicking the dog around and just upset and thinking the world's coming to an end, your players are going to feed off that, right?
Yeah, I mean these are huge. You want to win, but you got to keep it all in perspective, knowing. For a lot of these guys, it's their first chance in the NHL playoffs. So there's obviously really good things happening. You want everything, but you've been a sports fan long enough. You don't get everything all the time.
Nope. Hey, make sure to join the show on Friday from 10 to 2. We'll be at Next Gen Motors, their grand opening at their brand new location in Linden, 590 North State Street. Again, that is Next Gen Motors. Good family friend of Coach LaComb. Well, actually, just family. Right?
And friend.
Yeah.
And former boss, and hopefully the guy that feeds us a bunch of food on Friday.
Oh, see, now we're talking.
I'm going to make sure they've got a spread for us.
Let's go. All right, coming up next, Jake and Ben have you till 6 o'clock, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.